Welcome to For Your Amusement, a theme park podcast that aims to exhaustively evaluate the world's most popular theme park attractions to determine if they are world class. I'm Brian Bergara.
I'm Byron Marin.
And for this episode's featured attraction, we enter the Cave of Wonders to discuss the now defunct Aladdin, a musical spectacular, formerly in Disney California Adventure in Anaheim, California. However, a version of this show still plays on the Disney cruise liners Wish and Fantasy. For those of you who are into that. And joining us in the Hyperion Theater is none other than Mike Carlson, who you probably already know if you listen to this podcast, because he hosts another theme park podcast, The OG, the incredible podcast, The Ride. What an honor.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I don't know, we're not the OGs. I want to shout out your Doug Barneses of the world, the Len Testas and Jim Hills of the world. You know,
okay,
give them some shine.
Jim Hill does. He's been around.
Yeah.
But I would say when it comes to discussing rides, at least how in the way that we discuss them, I think you guys were the OG pioneers.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes.
I appreciate hearing that. Maybe we are the OGs when it comes to we were gonna make fun of things on mic. Maybe that's where we were the OGs. I'm not sure if there was any snarky theme park podcast before us.
That's fair. I think it comes off though how genuine you guys are in terms of liking all of this though.
Okay, well that's good because sometimes commenters don't see that.
Yeah, I think that sometimes a little nuance is lost. In order for you to be snarky about something, you do have to be passionate about it.
Yeah,
I think that's square one.
Yeah,
it's all out of love. All out of love.
That's what we try to convey. Is that generally when we're making fun of stuff, it's like we love it as well.
No, I'm saying to you in person that I feel it, but when I'm under my alias burner account, I'm commenting terrible shit on your guys' stuff just to try and drive those views down because you are a competitor and I must kill you.
Well, I understand that. I appreciate the spirit of competition. So
no, there's room enough at the table for everybody at this table of weirdos.
This tiny little table.
This is the worst table on earth, by the way. If you're watching the video version of it, it's uneven across the board. There's not one part of it that's level. Every time I put my cup down, it might be the last for my coffee.
We hope and pray it plays well for camera because that's about the best.
I hope so. We're 73 episodes in. Anyways, what's some housekeeping up top? You can support us over on Fourth Wall, fyapod.com. It's another version of Patreon. If you want to support making this show, you'll get 3 monthly bonus shows, including the one you're listening to right now for free. And our merch is also there as well. And it'll help us keep all this madness going. But without further ado, let's hop into Aladdin. Now, when it comes to the attractions, the shows, the rides that we cover on this podcast, we will ask the guest to list 5 things that they want to cover. And if I recall correctly, this might have been at the top of your list. If I'm that could be check. Revisionist.
It was close. I mean, it was certainly up there.
I know it was top 5.
It was certainly top 5, but it might have been number 1. I'm trying to remember. I think I put some conventional choices and then some unconventional as well.
You know what? I think that's striking a chord in my memory museum. I'm pretty sure that you had mentioned you had some conventional choices and you did say or we could kind of get crazy and talk Aladdin, a musical spectacular.
I said, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Yeah.
Aladdin, DCA
I do recall
show.
you texting me the list after, and then I saw that. I'm like, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we both were pretty stoked that you wanted to cover Aladdin.
Okay, good.
So I guess why Aladdin?
Well, I feel like people don't either, they didn't know about it at the time or they don't remember it now, but there was a not full, but 50-minute full, I would say on some level, Broadway show that you could see in the theme parks. They would run it multiple times a day. And it just from that standpoint, it was very impressive that you could wander into this really cool, pretty high budget for a theme park show with very talented people. All that being said, that's all interesting and good. My main draw for this was the genie.
Yes. Okay.
The genie would pop out. And the first time I ever saw this, I didn't know what was coming.
Do you remember what year it was? How old you were?
Gosh, I mean, it must have been 2011-ish.
Okay, so later in its run then.
2010.
Because it opened in 2003.
Yeah, it ran forever. And I was such a fan of this by the end that I went to some sort of special limited event where the cast was interviewed in chairs on the stage.
After the performance, so was the genie sitting there in full genie makeup?
That's a good question. I think he was. I think it was post-performance.
That's amazing.
And I think I had to sign up on the Disney Parks blog, which I haven't seen this lately, but I would once in a while get alerts sent to my phone. The Parks blog, if you sign up quickly, you can get a full free I think it was the 59th anniversary day, and we went there and they gave us fast passes. And I did this just because I quickly signed up for something. And I think it was a similar thing with this Q&A after the California Adventure. And it was right before the end of the whole end of the run. So probably, maybe it was 2010, maybe it was 2011. I'm not sure. But I was like, oh yeah, this is a nice, wow, this theater's really big. This is really cool. This is a nice show. And then Genie came out and I almost fell out of my chair.
What it's like being trapped inside that lamp for the past 10,000 years, 22 hours and 53 seconds. Where's all my stuff? I had a whole bunch of stuff here, now it's just rocks. I have to find it all on eBay.
I was so excited because Genie would make topical references.
Yes.
And this thrilled me from multiple levels. From an ironic level, because sometimes the reference would be crammed in such a lazy way that I would just get so delighted. And I swear to God, there was one time, because I saw the show at least 7 or 8 times in its run. I swear one time he's just doing lines from Aladdin, and then he kind of looks at the camera and he goes, Snooky. Yeah. And I was just like, I love this so much. I love it. So I would bring people. So anytime I was there with somebody who had never seen it before and heard of it, I would bring them and not tell them about it. And it would just be, people would be blown away at just the rapid fire, modern references, which make total sense in the context of Aladdin and the Genie. If you're playing it like Robin Williams did, which he was doing pop culture references in Aladdin, but it was just, there was something so funny. And then I would love to see what was happening. We would guess what kind of references would be in the show, what new thing in the headlines. And then we would try to write our own as we were going in and going out. So it became a little game for us as well. And then he would always shock you with, I remember there was the Oscars where Angelina Jolie had a dress and her leg. Do you remember this? Or leg was kind of popping out of it.
Yeah, I do recall that.
So you could see her full leg or something. And he made a leg joke days later.
He had his finger on the pulse.
And it was just so much so that I made a Twitter account called Topical Genie to tweet in Genie's voice, which was for some reason shut down by Twitter. I don't know why. But it's still, I can't get into the account.
Topical Genie, that sounds like an essential oil of something that I would be great. Some sort of aromatherapy that I would be very fond of. The thing about him, too, and it didn't occur to me until you were talking about it, he kind of was Deadpooling before Deadpool was
100% he was Deadpooling,
He was the OG Deadpool.
Yes, and I was going to probably at some point say that, I saw the new Deadpool Wolverine show they did during the holidays, and that's the closest we have right now to in Disneyland to have somebody doing pop culture reference jokes. Yeah,
because I'm trying to think of all the live action shows. First off, there's no shows that are meta and are self-referential to the idea that this is a theme park show, which the Genie would sometimes make jokes that were like that. The only other shows I could think of are The Hanging at Not Scary Farm.
Yes.
Pop culture references. Obviously, they reference Disneyland, things like that.
Right.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure over in Orlando. And actually, sometimes The Deacon at Waterworld.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's, if there's a little, he'll throw a little something in.
Yeah, I know that line we're not here to talk about Waterworld. Trust me, I wish we were because I fucking love that show. But
sure, it's great.
He's had that same Tiger Woods joke for since the inception of the show.
That's what I love, too, about the show is that certain things would stay in the set, basically. So he would keep the Dr. Phil reference for years. And that always played well. So there would be a few things, maybe the shake weight joke, I feel like always would be in there. Maybe that went away by the end. I'm not sure. But yes, I like it when I'm like, oh, he just hangs on to a couple of these because they've played consistently well.
Well, there is actually, and we'll get into this in the fun facts a little bit later, but there is a couple people who played the Genie, and they were very much exchanging notes, and it just made me laugh thinking about a Genie's writer room where they're like, this is getting a little stale here.
Yeah.
We might have to recycle out some of these taps because
They clearly
the beer's
had
getting flat.
they had some football fans in there, I think, as well, because I heard various football jokes throughout the years.
Oh, I heard one that I wrote down. I liked it so much.
The Genie went after the Chargers like every time.
That's a
they
punching
get
down.
eliminated.
It's punching down.
No, but it was like after like one of the. It was like I remember seeing it like right after like I think it was like their 14-2 season when they got kicked out of they got eliminated in the
I
first
remember
round.
well. Thanks for bringing that up.
It was painful, but I was like, hey, they're sticking with the times, and Chargers don't always get a shout or ever acknowledged.
That's
so,
true. I guess it's better to be.
It hurts so good. I could see a world where it was a Charger
fans.
I think one of the last showings I saw that was like online like brought up a deflate gate.
Oh,
joke.
I remember seeing a deflate gate live. Yes.
Yeah,
I do
that was the
remember
joke I wrote down because I was like, this is so crazy. This is so not the audience for this, but he doesn't care.
I know how you feel. Deflated. Like a Patriots football.
And like, there was another one where he was like walking down the stairs. I don't even remember what happened with Madonna at the time. Apparently, she had trouble walking down some stairs because as he was walking down the stairs for a friend like me, he said, "This is how you walk downstairs, Madonna."
This is how you go downstairs, Madonna.
And then he like walked down the stairs, and all like you said, none of them. There was no deft touch to any of these. They were all just like, let's just fucking throw this in right now.
Yeah. It's really, yes. What's interesting now, going back and watching these old performances, is like sometimes you're trying to remember what the news story was as well.
Exactly.
Because he said something about like, this is or what Britney Spears said during her Las Vegas residency.
Oh yeah.
There's more wishes for more wishes, capiche? Whereas Britney Spears says in her Las Vegas show,
That's one of the first ones on YouTube. And then I'm like, I guess she didn't do it. Is that what the joke was? That she like she didn't say anything because she wasn't doing it? Was there a controversy?
I think it was because
there?
she was lip syncing. And
Oh,
so
that's
he
what-
was moving
that's
his
right.
mouth.
You're
He was
right,
moving
you're right.
his
That's
mouth.
right. He
I was
mimed.
watching on my phone, so I didn't notice the mouth moving. Yes, you're right. You're right.
The thing about it too that's I wonder how much oversight he had. Like I wonder if there was any shows where he said something that crossed the line.
Yeah, I think we wondered about that too. I feel like they were self-policing, I'm guessing, because or maybe they ran it by a director every morning.
Yeah, yeah.
But was the director always there? I don't know, because at a certain point you were doing these shows every day.
4 times a day.
Right. So
It's a grind.
Right. And I'm assuming I think I watched an interview with somebody where they said they could change it up in between performances. So maybe they were self-policing. I'm not sure.
Also, I just realized, and this is maybe a bad pitch, but what if you kind of genified the Jungle Cruise skippers and allowed them to do some of that stuff?
Yes. I'm pro topical reference in most rides. But yeah, that's one obviously was a human, so they could
do that.
They could do it. They're usually very, I feel like I don't want to get off the whole thing here. The skippers are, sometimes you get one and they're a little bit like robotic with it. And sometimes that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It just means they have their thing going.
Yeah.
And they're not like, doing crowd work.
No, exactly. They're in their script. They're like, I'm clocking in.
Yeah.
I'm clocking out. I get it.
Yeah, I get it too. But it's if they were doing a little more crowd work, I feel like they could feel it out and like, this audience can really respond to my topical references.
Also, I'm a big fan, and this will actually make sense, I promise, but I'm a big fan of Bravo's 100 Scariest Movie Moments. Bravo would often do these like, oh, here's the 90s. And they would have a chorus of talking heads that would be contemporary, of that time. Mm-hmm. And all of those kind of served as like a time capsule of sorts of pop culture. That's basically what these Genie performances are.
Yes, to a large degree. Yes. Yeah, it really is like you remember where you were because he says he talks about Taylor Swift in that one performance.
Rule number 2, I can't make anyone fall in love with you. Trust me, I tried that with Taylor Swift. Shake it off. Rule number 3.
And then he says, shake it off. And you go, oh, I do remember when the summer of Shake It Off. I do like what your life was like, what was going on in the world. You can kind of feel it when you hear Genie's references.
Well, also, I think that was like a dig at like her relationship struggles, which I unfortunately has been an evergreen topic. That joke probably stayed forever.
Sure, yeah. Yes.
No disrespect. I don't want the Swifties to come after me. I'm a Swiftie myself. That didn't sound genuine, but I am. I went to Eras.
Okay, I went to Eras too.
Okay. Did you go to Eras, Byron?
No, I didn't want to spend $700 for the nosebleeds.
All right, I guess.
Well, I guess you weren't waiting in the waiting room then to get general admission tickets, because that's what a friend of mine did for me. And I bought the tickets off them. Anyways, first impressions of this, though, we just did Mike. Byron, what was your first impression of this bad boy?
Okay, so I had to validate this because the first time I saw this show was with my parents. I think I was
Moms
about...
love the show, by the way.
I was about...
They fucking love the
it,
show.
yeah.
Great mom show.
10 or 11 years old, so this wasn't my first trip to DCA because it was not an opening year show, even though the Hyperion did open with the park in 2001.
Now, Mike, if you're wondering what Byron's doing right now, every now and then he'll ask for a review from his mom.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Not a lot here. This was really just to validate my thoughts.
Sure.
And so I just said, like, what did you think about the first time we saw the Aladdin show at Hyperion? She said, interesting. She said, super crowded, long line in the heat, because this was like, they'd have the staging area where they'd have like the orchestra strike. It'd all be outside.
The mezzanine, yeah, the balcony.
So we were cooking out there. And I think they have like maybe a few trees out there, but for the most part, you're cooking. So she said, took forever to get in. I do remember waiting out there for like almost an hour. This is like when the show was very much new.
Yeah.
I think they even had fast passes for this when it first came out.
I think I remember that too.
I think they did fast passes when the show first debuted for like the first year or so.
And it would tell you which line you had to stand in.
I think so. I think the
balcony.
best chance to get orchestra, we didn't get the memo at the time because we were waiting out there.
Yeah.
And then I believe like I heard, I can't confirm this right now, but that in the final like year, the final months before it closed, they brought the fast pass back due to the demand of everyone who wanted to see the show before it closed. Haven't confirmed that, but for the most part during its 13-year run, no fast pass. But she said we were super impressed with the production. Obviously, it's like Broadway caliber. You all found the genie jokes very funny, very enjoyable. She also added it was too long, about 40 minutes, I think. I
Did she mean it was 40 minutes too long, or it was just she was pointing out that the length is in fact 40 minutes?
I can't imagine her patience exceeds 5 minutes, but I think she meant the show was about 40, which it was a 45-minute show, maybe even a little longer. And yeah, I mean, that pretty much, that jogs my memory a bit. It was, I remember an excruciating wait out in the sun, but I do remember being, and like, I wasn't super into watching Stagecoach. Like when you're like 10 or 11 years old, you wouldn't usually think you just want to go on rides as a kid, but I do remember the show-stopping moments, and of course the genie, like just winning me over.
No, he's the star of the show.
So yeah, a big win.
Small sidebar here, and I don't know if you've actually gone into the mythology of this on Podcast The Ride, but who created you in terms of being a theme park guy? Is it your parents, or were they big into it, or?
Yeah, I guess it's probably my mom was really into Disney.
Was your dad not so much then?
Not so much. My dad has probably gotten more into it, like listening to our podcast, I think.
That's very sweet.
So I think he appreciates maybe the artistry of it more. Not that he didn't like it back then, but it was definitely my mom who was kind of obsessed with it and knew the hotels and knew what was like new and stuff. So probably her.
And then with your own daughter, are you cognizant of the fact that if you give her a sip of the theme park, that it's gonna consume her in a way? Because I think about when I have kids one day, it's like, who's gonna be enjoying the theme park more, me or them? Like, it's like.
Some people are like, well, you shouldn't like force the stuff you like on your kid, and I have ignored that advice completely. I take my daughter to City Walk for fun.
Yes,
not even inside Universal necessarily, even though we have done that. But still, something like we'll arrive there and I go, "We're here," and she goes, "Yay, City Walk!" Like she will exclaim that,
amazing.
And I will be so proud, and then also be like, "Oh, I guess maybe this is damaging to her in some ways. I'm not sure." So I'm trying. We'll see. It's a process.
I'll follow your lead. So you just send me the parenting playbook when I have a kid eventually.
I'll
do it exactly step by step.
Like my daughter is going to meet Toad on a Thursday morning.
Nice.
Just because we need to do something. She wants to go to like a park, a regular park.
I see.
And I was like, well, how do we go to Universal Studios instead?
You go to Epic Universe. They put the park back in theme park.
That's true. We could do that.
Have you been yet, by the way?
Yes, we did. Scott and I went, yes.
Oh my God. Did you like it?
We did. We did like it. Yes.
Oh.
There's a couple things I'm interested. We're going back. We're doing some live shows in June.
Oh, amazing.
In Orlando. But there's a couple things I'm wondering how I feel the second time.
Yeah, we're going back for the grand opening.
Oh,
and
okay.
We're also kind of curious how things are going to kind of marinate over time.
Yeah. There's a lot of, like, I'm worried people are going to bake in Celestial Park in the middle of the summer.
That's a good point. It's pretty wide open. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna go.
Not to throw any shade because they don't. But
we're gonna get sidebarred here. But there is lore behind Epic Universe. There's actually a mascot to that park, but that bear.
Oh, Captain Cacao.
Captain Cacao.
Yeah, I bought my daughter Captain Cacao. I brought her home. I brought the bear home. Yeah,
she was like Captain Cacao.
That bear.
I can't wait to see him.
She was confused, and then I said, "No, this is Captain Cacao. He runs Moonship Chocolates with his not girlfriend in the sense that it's romantic, but lady friend." And I'm trying to think of. There's a girl who runs the chocolate shop in Epic Universe, and the bear is like her sidekick. And I'm trying to remember the name of the girl, and I can't. And I think she's 15.
I just learned about Cacao. I haven't learned about his associates or anything like that.
Or Vincent Various or any of this.
Various, I know Various.
Creator,
For me, it's Cacao and Associates in my head.
Cacao's the only one that's like visible.
He's the genie of that operation.
Yeah.
He's the star of the show.
Cacao is about to wage war on Duffy over at Disney Sea.
It's I mean, Cacao is sort of a pirate. He's got a hat. And
I'm not gonna lie, Cacao would beat the living shit out of Duffy.
I don't know. I wouldn't underestimate Duffy.
I would say Duffy is a bit of a pacifist, but he has other like Gelatoni can fight. So he'll get backup from some of his friends. Olu Mel, Gelatoni certainly can be.
There's just got to be a big bear battle royale between those two, Paddington, Pooh.
Oh, sure, yeah.
All the boys. Just watch them,
None of them great fighters, really, if you think about it.
Just take like 3 pool cues, snap them in half like the Joker, and just let them fight it out.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, anyways, let's get into the attraction history, Byron. How did the show come to be? How did a Broadway-level show land in California Adventure of all
As
places?
with many of these Disney's California Adventure attractions, we'll take this to February 8th, 2001, when Disney's California Adventure officially opens, and with that, the Hyperion Theater, a dazzling 58,000 square foot building located in the Hollywood Pictures backlot area of the park, with its name inspired by the Hyperion Studio, where Walt Disney created early classics such as Mickey Mouse and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That being said, the show that debuted at California Adventure within this impressive Hyperion Theater projected a quality and vibe that was very much on par with the rest of Disney's California Adventure Park, that being poor. Entitled Disney's Steps in Time, this musical medley through Disney's iconic songs was so poorly received that it would only run for 8 months before taking an early bow in October of 2001.
Wait, I don't recall this show at all. Did you see this show?
No, I never saw this show.
Did you see this show?
No, never.
I've never even heard of this show.
Yeah.
That's kind of rare. Have you heard of this show?
I've heard of it, but as you said that, I'm like, oh, we haven't done an episode on that. We should do that. Yeah, because this is not something anyone talks about ever.
No.
And it was before my time going to I didn't go to Disneyland until like 2007 or 8.
I watched 3 of the Hyperion shows last night.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Like late night while today's episode that
rank them right now, 1, 2, 3.
I'm gonna go. Oof.
You have to think about it.
I think I got to go number 1, Aladdin.
Okay.
Number 2, which we're about to get to, and I'll talk about that once we bring it up now. But I did the first one. I watched them in order, just the first 3.
Nice.
No, I didn't watch Frozen or Rogers. I've seen them before, but not last night. And so this first one, Disney Steps in Time, is, I'm telling you, it really encapsulates that bratty early 2000s energy. It is an atrocious show. And I had to validate this by like looking at, like, not many people have seen this. You can see it on YouTube, but like not many people have viewed it, or you gotta view. I would like watch both these shows back to back. I won't bring up the other one quite yet.
You watched all the HCU, the Hyperion Cinematic Universe?
Yeah.
Nice.
Honestly, a lot of fun. But this show was laughably bad in terms of like it is just like the downfall Eisner like vibe, and it seriously fit in really well with how kind of crap this park was upon its opening year.
It's fair.
It was a romp through it was just desperately trying to grab classic Disney songs to sing, all told through the story of this bratty like kid who gets visited by this like fairy godmother.
Who are you? I am Vera. saying?
Wait a minute, who are you again?
I told you, kid, I'm your fairy godmother. I'm here to help. Now just give me a sec. I'm kind of new to this whole fairy gig.
And she's basically trying to like introduce him to the qualities that he's like missing out of his life. And then so like it'll be like, oh, like they'll just be talking about something almost unrelated. And it's like, yeah, it's like no worries. And like Akuna, like, and it would,
Oh boy.
Just as like an example. And you know, obviously the bratty kid, you know, gets Disney-fied, and it's the production value was very limited. It's just really funny. This took place in such a beautiful theater. I'll leave it at that. But if you're ever curious of subjecting yourself to about 20 minutes of this show, you'll quickly realize, and that was the thing, I had to validate my thoughts just off reading the comments. There's like 4 comments on this YouTube video, but the first one was, how is this approved? And I'm like, yeah, my thoughts exactly. So anyways, that's Disney's Steps in Time. Play on Step in Time. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So at this time, Disney was desperate for a quick replacement that would fare better amongst critics and park guests. After all, the Hyperion Theater was located right next to Superstar Limo, an infamous attraction that was preparing to experience a permanent closure as well. Disney would find their answer via The Power of Blast, which was a condensed version of the Tony-winning Broadway production Blast. Although The Power of Blast debuted at Epcot in the summer of 2001 to rave reviews, it was quickly plucked from there and transported to California Adventure in hopes of patching up holes on their sinking ship of a theme park. Just like the reception garnered at Epcot, The Power of Blast was adored by guests when it debuted at California Adventure in November of 2001, just a month after booting the previous show Steps in Time. And although The Power of Blast was universally praised by those who saw it, there were a couple factors at play that would prohibit the production from having a long-term run at the Hyperion Theater.
I've never heard of that show either, but I gotta say, excellent title. I'm intrigued.
Power of
It
Blast.
is the
What does that
most
mean?
fun title to say. And once again, like I saw this right after last night watching Steps in Time. And this is a 30-minute show. It is phenomenal.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But it was very evident while watching this. I'm like, okay, there's a reason why this is short-lived. I totally get it. It was spectacular, though. It was full of musicians, insanely talented niche, like not just playing instruments, but doing choreography and tricks. And you'd have like upwards of like 30 musicians at a time taking the stage. It had a very abstract vibe. And it's funny because I didn't get to writing the history portion to realize that it had already played at Epcot. But the entire time watching this last night, I was thinking, this belongs in Epcot. This is an Epcot show.
Belongs in a museum. I was just thinking too, Steps in Time, Superstar Limo. We often talk about like what's the best 1-2 punch in theme parks. Is that the worst 1-2 punch in theme park history? Like in that nook of the park, you had a show
what I was saying.
and a ride that didn't last a year.
Within like a few hundred feet of each other, you had Superstar Limo and then this. So like imagine if like they had to find a quick replacement show, I think, because I think they knew Superstar Limo wasn't closed quite yet, but I think that was on the horizon just because that was so poorly received. So they had to do this quick, it's a third party show, Power of Blast.
Yeah.
That like there was a condensed version because it was already crushing it on Broadway at its full length.
Gotcha.
So I think they just were, buying time essentially to produce the show that we're talking about today. Because there's no way that I was like, when I was watching this, like, yeah, this would be so expensive to continue paying this amount of musicians, especially if it's not a Disney-owned production. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I mean, this is unpleasant. I don't like, it's Michael Eisner made some mistakes. We love Michael Eisner, podcast The Ride, and we
like him here too.
Yeah,
I mean, everyone likes him, of course, but this may be this is a little bit of a lot of losses.
He's demands,
but he should still come on podcast The Ride.
I'd love for that to
soon.
happen.
Gosh,
we've tried.
I'm going to join in.
Start
that.
the petition.
Please join them on podcast The Ride, just so we could all hear you talk.
He was courtside with Bob Iger at the Clippers game a week or two ago. So he's out there, is what I'm saying. He's out and about. I thought when you were talking about first, I forgot about The Power of Blast. I thought you were going to reference that Kelsey Grammer hosted some sort of show on this stage, this Hyperion stage. You know what I'm talking about? And
I know.
He fell off the stage.
I know that. Oh, that's what
and it
that's
was
from?
at the Hyperion, yes.
That's incredible.
So he was hosting something he's talking about, and then he falls and he goes, "Oh dear God," or something, and he falls. And he got hurt. Like, I think he got pretty hurt falling. But I didn't realize how the way the stage was set up.
Yeah. They did a bunch of like little, like they did panel discussions with Imagineers, like even before I think California Adventure opened at Hyperion. 2001 is when I believe Spy Kids came out, and they did the worldwide premiere of Spy Kids at the Hyperion Theater.
They did premieres there.
Makes sense.
For
It's a beautiful
little
theater.
while. Yeah, they haven't done that in forever. And then the theater is probably going to get demolished soon, I'm guessing.
It seems like it's not long for this earth.
Even though it's like sitting there and it's a nice theater.
It's a good
kind of
opportunity
bummer.
for them to just recreate that show, though. Just have a show that's, Fraser Crane taking a tumble.
Oh, God.
Every show is just he walks out on stage, falls off the stage, says, "Oh dear Lord," and then
It's
curtains.
just, the insurance would be a lot, but that's about it, right?
That'd probably be about the
it's,
same amount that they're paying Power Blast people.
Well, what you could do is you could create a Kelsey Grammer stunt-tronic like the Spider-Man. And it's like actually it's cheaper probably because he just has to sort of do this. He doesn't have to fly through the air.
No, he just kind of has to wiggle on the fall.
Just right off.
We'll put that petition in the description as well.
Yeah.
as well as one for Michael Eisner to go.
Yes, Michael
podcast
Eisner, Podcast The Ride. Let's make it happen.
With that being said, we here at FYA cordially invite Breckenridge Eisner to
Oh
come
yeah,
on
we'll
our
get
show.
we'll get the boy.
We'll take what we can get.
Breck.
I still don't think we could get Breck, but
Breck, very talented director, did The Expanse, but Breck, as I'm sure you guys know, is responsible for green lighting a lot of rides.
That's right.
that is
He
true.
is instrumental.
You could say he
Star
almost saved the
Tours.
park in a lot of ways.
Yes, that's right. Michael Eisner would just turn and go, "Breck, do you like this?" And he'd go, "Yeah, I like it," or whatever. Okay, we'll do it. Let's do it.
Breck was basically one of those kids at Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yes.
He's like Augustus Gloop
Yes.
with power.
I wonder if some of the California Adventure decisions were not made by Breck because he was too old at that point. So
He
if
aged out.
Breck, right, if Breck were actually of the younger age, he would have said, "Oh, this isn't going to work, Dad. I don't think we should do Superstar Limo. These robots are creepy."
Disney execs view decision-making power the same way Leo views dating opportunities. If
That's
you reach a
right.
certain age,
You're out.
You're out.
Right.
You're out, Breck.
That's right. So yeah, maybe if Breck was still like 8 or something, California Adventure would have started off great.
I also like to imagine him walking around the park with Michael Eisner in like a little suit.
Oh,
I could see like
yes, I would love to see
eight-year-old
that.
Breck looking around like this park lacks an identity. So, anyways, back to the reasons why the Power of Blast didn't work out in the long term for Hyperion, first of which being the production cost. After all, this spectacular stage show was produced by a third party and featured a large ensemble of highly talented performers with very niche skills. We just discussed that. Second of which being that Disney's California Adventure severely lacked Disney properties during its inaugural years, and this production featured none of that. It was merely a short-term solution that would give Disney enough time to produce a show of their own, one that would help breathe some of that missing Disney magic into their new and ill-fated theme park. So, while the Power of Blast held down the Hyperion Theater for nearly a year, Disney would adapt their 1992 animated hit film Aladdin into a condensed Broadway-caliber stage show. And following a string of preview performances in December of 2002, Aladdin, a musical spectacular, officially debuted at the Hyperion Theater on January 17, 2003. The show would be met with high praise, and unlike the previous two shows, Aladdin quickly proved itself to be a diamond in the rough, destined for a long-term run at the Hyperion. The first threat to ending this run came in 2010 when Disney Parks Blogs announced that a new show based on Toy Story would be taking over the Hyperion Theater. However, this never came to be, perhaps granting the wishes of all the fans of Aladdin.
Wait, I don't even remember that.
I get this confused because I do remember that, but then there was also rumors of Toy Story replacing Country Bears in Florida as well. So I don't know if they float this Toy Story balloon sometimes to see
They had
what the reaction might be. And then
Roundup. They had like Woody's Roundup. That was in the Golden Horseshoe, and that would like alternate. Or at one point, I think it actually just completely replaced one of my favorite shows of all time, Billy Hill and the Hillbillies.
Oh, right.
So maybe that's where it ended up. Kind of a downgrade from the Hyperion to the Golden Horseshoe.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember this. Yeah.
It's not the first time that Disney's like floated some announcements out there, whether it be rides or shows, and even with concept art, and then been like, let's moonwalk this back. And this was like around the time that Midway Mania was coming out.
Right.
So they might have just been like, "Hey, this is a hit, and we're satisfied. Like, let's keep Aladdin." And maybe part of it was the backlash.
Can we take a small second to take a sip of snark here? Just, I'm curious, of all the things that were announced at D23 this last year, is there one that you hope doesn't happen?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I am against the destruction of the riverboat and the water there.
Yeah,
not for political reasons or anything. Which
Is that being politicized? I didn't realize.
Oh, it's very yeah. Disney hates America. Blah, blah, blah.
I see. Wow,
You
that's
know,
crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. But no, I just like the water's nice and I like the big boat. Like that's my philosophy. So yeah, I know from what I think I know at least, it's hard to maintain like a big water zone in the swamp.
I guess that makes sense.
So like they can kill a couple birds with one stone if they get rid of it and put something in there that generates car money, like merchandise money. But I don't know. It just seems like odd. It seems like it's going to be an odd zone there.
Yeah, it's trading the rivers of America for more Mater.
Yeah.
Tough pill to swallow.
I mean, I'm pro Mater.
I can't say
Hell
I
yeah.
am.
I'm a big Mater guy in general, but
I have orders to shoot him on sight.
Okay, that's fair.
He's
That's
a Mater
okay.
hater.
You're a Mater hater. I understand, but the only way I should say I would be a little upset, and we've talked about this on our show, is if you can hear Mater fart from the line of the Haunted Mansion. Because it's pretty close. I believe that you will be able to.
It's a stone's throw away, so I would assume that would carry over to a fart sonically.
Yeah. So it feels like that would ruin some of the magic of the Haunted Mansion if you're waiting in that queue and going up and you can hear burp.
As long as I can't smell it, because the rancid, potent, brew that would come out of a Mater tailpipe, I couldn't even fucking imagine how awful that would smell. It would probably smell like PBR.
And a little worse than our Autopia in Disneyland. just gasoline.
It's exactly what Claude Coates envisioned with Haunted Mansion, that you would eventually be traversing those hallways and just hear the faint echoes of dadgum, dadgum, dadgum.
Which he's a ghost. Can I also, you know what? Can I complain about the Hatbox Ghost? Because
Sure. No, this is perfect.
Why does he show up before the Madame Leota head in the Disney World Haunted Mansion?
No, everyone, I also am with you there. It makes no sense. We are one of our friends of the pod. I don't know if you've ever had him on your show. Offhand Disney, Dallin Smith. He's big on the Haunted Mansion. It makes no fucking sense why that hat box.
There's a lot of things I feel like I'm like, it's fine, whatever. But like that one, I'm just like, what?
Yeah, it doesn't. Or are you a proponent of the whole like you're in the attic, you see the bride, you fall out the window, and then you're down dead in the graveyard kind of?
I like the idea of that, but I'm not like so strict in my beliefs, my belief system of the Haunted Mansion.
That's canon.
Yeah, I like that. I like that explanation. But that doesn't. Yeah, that I like it. But I'm not like, I wouldn't be so upset if they disrupted that or something. Like there's plenty of things they could mess with the Haunted Mansion in a lot of ways, and it wouldn't bother me. But Hatbox Ghost being there before the ghosts are summoned,
it doesn't make any sense. It ruins the dichotomy of that ride, which is what made it what it is.
All right, so let's. I guess we'll go back to the. We covered the successful run of Aladdin. Now let's talk about the demise, because in November of 2013 came the theatrical release of Frozen, which garnered over $1 billion at the box office and forever changed the trajectory of Disney theme parks. And no amount of wishes were going to save Aladdin this time. It didn't take long before Frozen was being adapted for the stage with the intention of taking over the Hyperion Theater. On January 10th of 2016, Aladdin, a musical spectacular, officially took its final bow, ending its incredible 13-year run. And although the Hyperion's beloved iteration may have been put back in the lamp, various iterations now exist around the globe, whether that be a full-length production on Broadway and the cities they tour, or on 2 of the Disney cruise lines. Aladdin lives on.
Kind of. Pour one out for Aladdin. Rip to Aladdin. It's making me realize that Olaf might be the preeminent serial killer of the Disney Parks universe. He's killed Maelstrom. He killed Aladdin.
True.
Did he replace something in Hong Kong? I don't know. But Frozen has been a terror. It's just
because there's a Frozen ride now in Hong Kong. I think that was new.
I think that was an expansion.
Yeah.
Not a expansion by subtraction.
Right.
I even think Muppet Vision 3D at California Adventure was replaced by like a temporary Frozen show.
I think you're right.
Which is hilarious that they did 2.
Yeah, on
something
the
of
way to
that
Filler
sort. I never
Magic.
did it.
Olaf has 3 teardrop tattoos on his
Yeah.
face.
He's a rough guy.
Could someone please make that fan art of Olaf with Lil Wayne teardrop tattoo?
Little like
cool.
quotation. You want to build a snowman, huh?
That's right.
I'll say this about Olaf. I had high hopes for Olaf that when they did the California Adventure Frozen show, he would inherit the mantle of pop culture
Oh,
references.
Genie, yes.
He's probably the one. He's the comedy character in the movie.
Josh Gad.
But it did not happen. We did not get Olaf doing jokes like topical references.
That's a
unfortunately.
good point. If they were, I guess, taking a more paint by numbers approach in a good way, they would obviously slot in that comic relief that is, the topical kind of character, because he already steals the show. He's a funny little snowman.
Right. So that they had a chance there, and for whatever reason, they decided not to do it. And maybe that's why the show didn't last very long.
That's
I don't
right.
know.
Just keep the genie in every show they put in there. Just
That would be a dream of mine. Maybe the genie should be the Jungle Cruise skipper.
I'd pay for that.
Yeah.
I'd pay for that.
Mm-hmm. I think that's an after-hours event that you would pay for.
Mike, if you're listening, Mike, I don't know how much pull you have, Michael Eisner.
Oh, we're talking Eisner.
Yeah.
I don't know that he has anything to do with anything, but
I mean, he might have some pull.
he might. I mean, I wonder if he's...
You said he was with Iger recently.
That is true. I mean, I'm hoping he's the next CEO.
Like, how do you know him and Iger weren't talking about this at the Clippers game? He was just like,
It's
hey,
possible.
Bob, Genie in the
Genie
Jungle
should
Cruise.
be on the Jungle Cruise. And then Iger says, I want you to be my successor. I want you to take the company over again. I want you to go out on a high note this time.
Honestly, if that was announced, I'd be curious what the reaction would be. Because I honestly would be, I maybe I'm going to get blamed for this in the comments. I'd be kind of stoked. I'm not going to lie. I think I'd be kind of stoked. What if he saves Disney again?
It would be the greatest news I've ever heard
Right?
in my life. Other than the birth of my first child. Eisner returns to Disney.
So that's number one. Or is that 2?
Eisner is number 1, daughter number 2.
Okay. And I mean, judging by your hand placement, a distant 2, it seemed.
How old is
Fargo.
Eisner now?
83, I believe.
He's not
No
that. He's
fucking way.
He's not
really?
that much older than Iger, though. I don't think.
He's,
I think Iger's in his
like
70, right?
Mid 70s, early 70s, yeah.
Eisner's 83?
Eisner's 83, born on my birthday, March 7th. We
Oh.
share a birthday.
Wow. Happy belated.
So thank you very much.
But think about
recording
it,
this in May.
Couple
He
months.
became CEO
Very belated.
in the mid 80s.
That's crazy.
So-
I saw a picture of him recently. He looks good.
He looks good. He's involved. Any history of Hollywood when he was around, he's involved in everything. He was at Paramount. He's involved in Star Trek. He kind of created the Fonz.
Yeah.
He was like, we need a greaser character in this sitcom, and the Fonz was born. Like, he's really like Forrest Gump, and an active participating Forrest Gump, not a passive character. He's everywhere. He's a fascinating guy.
He's Forrest Gump if Forrest Gump ruined every endeavor he got near eventually.
Eventually, yeah. But the good outweighed the bad.
He's just
In my
played
opinion.
he's like one of those players that played a couple more seasons than they should have. He was a little washed at the end.
It's
and
hard
I
to-
forgive him for that,
I forgive him for everything he's ever done.
which is why he needs to go on Podcast The Ride.
That's right. So easiest softball interview you'll ever have, my friend. Not a hard question to be found.
Everyone knows that somebody who's pointing directly at someone saying, softball's coming your way.
First question, Paul Pressler, your thoughts, please.
I really genuinely hope that happens. Have you guys reached out to him?
There have been communications. I'll say that. There's not saying it's happening at all. There's been a rejection of a communication.
I see.
But it has made it to a somewhat high up place. Not him himself.
Well, if we could get Breck, and then Breck could be like, hey, Dad.
Yeah.
There's another podcast that's like the one I went on, except it's older and better. So go
Yeah.
on that one, and we'll be like I'll be on the younger sibling show, and you could go on to the real deal.
It would be nice. I don't know that Breck wants to do Disney related interviews at this point in his life, but
What's he? Oh yeah,
I
that's
don't
true.
know.
Yeah, because he's
he's a real director.
He's a real
and he
director.
does cool stuff. Yeah. So look, fingers crossed at some point that it could happen. I just want to ask Michael Eisner why there was no Michael Eisner merch. Because we had a listener made us a doll, a custom Michael Eisner doll.
yeah.
So but everybody from people of a certain era saw this man on TV all the time. So you have some affection for this guy,
And you certainly made sure you knew his name.
and you knew his name. And I'm curious to know why he felt like he needed to do that where other CEOs didn't and haven't. But There's hundreds of appearances of him talking to Mickey, playing with Baby Sinclair. Baby Sinclair from Dinosaurs like shits in his desk or shits on his chair by his desk. And I just like, we want a toy of it. I want a toy of Michael Eisner to go alongside the like Walt Disney toys we have now.
Yeah.
He is a very important figurehead from the company, especially for, men of a certain age, people of a certain age. So
I want a shirt of Lionel Richie, Adele, and a Michael Eisner, and the top just says hello over the top of it. I think someone should make that shirt.
I think so too.
Do it, Disney.
Yeah.
Or if not, Michael Eisner bobblehead night.
Michael Eisner bobblehead is so good.
Yes. This is what I'm talking about.
Let's move into some fun facts, by the way.
Sure.
The show was the show length, I assume, maybe fluctuates given the genie nature of it, but the show was usually around 45 minutes long, with a capacity of 2,000 people per show, and an unknown cost. I couldn't find out how much this show cost. I imagine a lot, though, given just the performers alone.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
That's right, because there's going to be upfront costs, but I think the majority of the cost is just whatever went into the daily. I don't think it was always daily. I think it eventually reverted to like weekends and stuff.
Well,
But
let's
for a
break
long
down the
time-
cost by the numbers. There was over 110 performers in the company, with about 30 rotating in and out to perform the show. 50-member cast, 250 costume, 18 scene changes, and there are 48 pieces of scenery on the stage weighing more than 60,000 pounds. A little trivia here. Could you guys guess how many guests approximately have seen this show
that's
from its run of
interesting.
2003 to 2016? It's big.
20 million.
Is that
20 million. Let's go. See, it's a 2,000 seat theater. They probably weren't
he's gonna beautiful
all the
mind this
way
shit.
at capacity.
He did an actual thought.
Didn't they run like 100,000? Is that too much? 100,000 shows or something like that over his 13 year
you can't ask
run?
me. I'm Survey Says.
Oh man. Let's just do. Let's say it took a total of 100 million.
100 million? You did all that?
No. I blanked out here. My simple math is gone. So let's go with 25 million people.
Okay, 100. If a billion people saw Avengers Endgame, then probably 100, at least a tenth of that.
1 trillion people saw Disney's Aladdin, California Adventure.
On the spot with no calculator, I am toast.
By that metric,
I could give you the formula, but that's about it.
Well, I wouldn't want that formula because by the rules of Price is Right, you both lost, but Mike was closer. 13 million people.
Oh wow!
And I saw some sites say 12 million. So 12 to 13 million. These are fun facts.
They are fun. Yeah.
Emphasis on the fun.
I'm enjoying them.
Thank you. The life-size elephant puppet, as well as the horse, giant snake, and all the puppets, they were created by Michael Curry Designs, who also created TikTok the Croc for Fantasmic. The one that chases Hook. Love that part.
That's cool.
The song "To Be Free" was an original song created by Alan Menken. The famed composer of animated films such as Aladdin, Little Mermaid, Pocahontas, Hunchback, which, by the way, best soundtrack, banger, in my opinion. I love it.
Hunchback is the best of all of them?
In my opinion.
Okay.
Maybe Lion King. I just think Hunchback's incredibly underrated, rather. It's a great soundtrack. Beauty and the Beast, he also did that. Ever heard of it? But he did one original song for this show, "To Be Free," which I have a very funny quote on later from Variety. The publication, because they did a write-up on the show, and I cannot wait to read some of these quotes.
Oh no.
Do you think, just vibe check, what do you think Variety thought of this show?
Perhaps they were underwhelmed?
I would say so. That's
why I don't read Variety.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the show was widely considered Broadway caliber, even being featured in a Variety article, as I just mentioned, back in 2003 when it first opened. The first line of that article, quote, "To add some needed pizzazz to its attendee-challenged California Adventure theme park, the folks at Disney are relying on an eye-popping flying carpet and a zany Robin Williams-like hipster genie." End quote. That's the real first sentence of that review, which I recommend you read because it did make me laugh quite a bit.
I mean, I'm hooked. Sign me up.
It's also funny that, like, in clearly a review that Disney kind of like reached out to them to review this show for them, the first thing they say is like, this park has nobody in it. Just like, that's what you paid for right there. It's crazy. The sets for the show were created by Tony winner Peter J. Davidson. Or Davison, rather, with no D. And the show was choreographed by the late, great Tony Award-nominated choreographer Taylor Corbett. The script for the show reduced the 1992 film down to 40 to 45 minutes and was worked on by a team of 5 people, which I actually found surprising. Like, you would think that's a lot of folks to be working on a cut down, but it's good. You know,
Yeah.
I thought it moves. The show featured a flying magic carpet set piece, which suspended 2 actors above the crowd via wires. And out of curiosity, do you guys remember anything that happened with that carpet in 2011?
You mean the one that's the suspended one?
Yes.
Oh yeah, there was a problem with it. Yes.
The cable snapped.
Yes, and they were dangling. Yes.
For a certain amount of time, I think like 10 to 15 minutes, Aladdin and Jasmine were dangling from the carpet, which was now upside down, and they had to stop the show. There's a very funny YouTube video of it, which we'll probably show right now.
How is this for a case of stage fright? The flying carpet malfunctioned during a Sunday performance of Aladdin's musical spectacular at Disney's California Adventure. It left 2 actors hanging from their safety harnesses.
They were fine. Yeah, they're just a little.
Their emergency harnesses saved them.
We are allowed to make jokes about it.
And they certainly had
nobody was harmed.
No, they were fine, albeit probably a little, shaken up, but not more shaken up than that. I don't know if you guys remember that hilarious video of the lady who was rescued from, I think, Runyon Canyon or something. It was some hiking canyon, and they had to helicopter an old woman out of this canyon. Mm-hmm. And when they did, she was dangling from the bottom of the helicopter and was just spinning at a ridiculous rate.
Looked like brain damage. It looked bad. Yes, I have seen that.
And she just spins faster and faster. So
they did not do the greatest job getting her out of there. Yes, this was not the situation though at the California Adventure Show. I remember seeing this right after, because then they had to go. They didn't have because the carpet used to go all around.
It did.
The above the heads of the guests, which was pretty impressive. And then I remember after this happened, we went, and then they were like, "Oh, the carpet's on the stage now for a while."
It did,
and it was less impressive.
I believe the last performance it was groundbound on the stage.
Oh, really, the last one? Maybe I'm mixing up my. I recall it going back up, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Someone check us on that in the comments. But my guess is because they probably were like sunsetting the show. That effect probably they were like not worth it to fix this thing. Also, by the way, I want to say, because a lot of people, and this is a mild spoiler for Epic Universe, but the Untrainable Dragon, there is a part where there's an element that goes over the audience's head. Aladdin did it first.
Yeah, Aladdin did a lot first, in my mind. So give it its credit, give it its due.
This comes from Shelby Jiggets Tivany, who served as creative director for Aladdin during much of the run. Here's a quote. And this is not her commenting on the malfunction, but this is just a quote that happens to. She was doing an interview for the end of the run. Quote: "Obviously, it's a technologically sophisticated show. There's always something that doesn't work, and the show must go on. I think there's a certain resilience to a show like this because it does perform several times a day, 365 days a year," which is crazy to think about when you consider this isn't too far off from the Broadway production that's actually still out there, and they're doing it. They did it every day, 4 times a day. That's insane.
And singing that much too, if you're a performer, that seems hard.
No, yeah, a certain resilience for sure.
Yeah,
very impressive feat. To the genie dialogue was the only part of the script that could change occasionally, as we have mentioned many times already, updated with current pop culture references. Here's Shelby Jiggets Tivany again on that. Quote, "When we wrote the script, we wrote in places for ad-libs. Obviously, in the film, it was Robin Williams who brought that character to life, and he did ad-lib some of his stuff. Our genies have some latitude. Obviously, they have some guardrails, things that they shouldn't do. There are a couple of actors who perform that role, and they share material. One of my favorite bits was a riff on the Sultan. Quote, if your last name was Peppershaker, you'd be Sultan Peppershaker."
That, I believe, was there for almost ever. They used that forever.
You're right, because continuing her quote, she says, one of the genies did that, and then the other ones tried it. And before you knew it, it was a keeper. It kind of went viral among the genies. The 3 genies.
I love it.
But I do think that's really fun that they kind of had a genie troupe that they were like, let's try out some bits. And like if something gets stale, whatever. It's just you have 3 more performances that day. That's kind of freeing, I would imagine.
Yeah, and it's nice they weren't competitive. They were together. It wasn't like some cutthroat Saturday Night Live style. Who can do the better genie or whatever?
No, that's right.
They were all working on something together.
Yeah, they weren't
nice.
gatekeeping material. Also, that probably had to do a little bit with the fact that no one could tell them apart. Because they were,
possibly true,
fucking blue.
They were very blue, yes.
Ask the Blue Man Group about that. The guy playing Aladdin, I don't know why I wrote this. This isn't a fun fact. This is just an opinion. The guy playing Aladdin always had to be shredded, and then I just said LOL. I don't know why I wrote that. Oh, you know what it was? It's because I never realized when I revisited this. He just basically has a vest on, but he's shirtless the whole show.
Right.
And I was like, that guy has to be in ridiculous shape.
Yeah.
All year long.
It's not like sometimes you'll see like muscle suit guys because it'll play okay in a theater. But usually every time. I'm trying to remember. I don't think there was ever any time they were like, oh, we got to get a scrawny guy in here. Let's put him in the muscle suit. I don't think it happened.
Well, it was his arms, but also dude had a full 6-pack. And I was like, that's impossible to maintain for 13 years or however long this run is. That's crazy. Assuming that there was one Aladdin who did the entire run.
I think I'm trying
to remember.
There
was more than one.
There was more than one for sure. For the Jasmine, I believe, was a long time performer in it. But I think Aladdin switched a lot. But I remember the Jasmine specifically in the Q&A, like talking about how she was there for like almost the whole thing, if not the whole thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it would be interesting. You're like, you have to do an audition for Aladdin, and they're like, all right, the last thing. Let's see it.
Excuse me? What are you talking about?
I'm sorry. There's no way to make this smooth, but take your shirt off. I know. This is gross. I'm so sorry, but you got to be shredded.
That's right. And put on this vest.
Yeah, put on a vest. Put on a little vest and a little hat, and we got to take a look. Sorry.
It's part of the ensemble.
Yeah.
That is cool to have somebody who was a long tenured cast member, because I really find that very charming about Waterworld, because Greg Dolph.
Oh, right.
He has been the deacon forever, and his son is the deacon, as the son was before him, and I'm sure after him. It's a family business.
Waterworld will never go away.
It won't.
Yes.
And I met him recently, and in all genuine nature, not being snarky at all, I went up to him and I was like, dude, I'm a huge fan of your work.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I couldn't tell if he thought I was fucking with him, but I was like, no, I'm serious. I've seen this show like probably 100 times. I love you. And then he was like really nice guy about it, and he was just like, wow, that's awesome. And then I took a picture with the whole cast. I was like a Make-A-Wish kid for an hour.
I think maybe even when I was younger, and then the general population at large is like, oh, theme park performer. The idea, the concept of it, you're like, oh, that's kind of, I don't know what that is. That's a cheesy thing to do or whatever. But when you go so often, you're like, oh, there's some extremely talented people that essentially have devoted themselves to theme park performing. And then you're like, some of these people are funnier than anybody I know. Like you really you can get very impressed, I think, by people that do a lot of this stuff, because it's just performing. It's just live performing. And like, I like the New York performers at Universal that like yell stuff out the window.
I love those guys. So I love those guys.
And they get such funny donkey performers too at Universal. Like they're killing it with everything they're saying to everybody. I'm always very impressed by that too.
Do you remember they had for a little bit somebody being a Snowball actor over in the Secret Life of Pets area?
Oh, he's still there.
Oh, yeah,
I saw him this weekend.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Snowball has talked to my daughter.
Shout out to Snowball.
Yeah, because we went on that ride, and I didn't remember the name of Snowball. Apologies, Snowball. But yeah, he was like, he's talking to us.
Yeah.
Oh, this is cool. Yeah, because he's up in the window.
He's a high up, as he would be. I talked about this in our last pod, but one of my comedy heroes, I truly mean this, is Kirk Wall, who plays Billy Hill.
Oh, right.
Billy Hill and the Hillbillies. Like you were saying, I think that guy is probably funnier, and I really mean this, than maybe 50% of people I see on television.
That's probably true, yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah. And then, the famous example of this is the Wally Bogue, Steve Martin connection.
Yes.
Because Steve Martin, very inspired by this guy, Wally Bogue, who performed at the Golden Horseshoe. Yeah. And it's like, Yeah, this guy was like performing so often. He was probably such a professional.
Exactly.
Like that. Yeah, tons of kids and people would go in and be like, "This guy's hilarious.
He's the best."
Yeah.
But yeah, my mom also used to often comment on this when we would go see the Aladdin show because she loved the Aladdin show, and she would just be like, "These people are so talented.
Yeah.
They should not be performing here." And I'm always like, "Well, they like performing here."
Yeah, I know. That's the vibe. I feel like that's the common thing. Well, like they shouldn't be here, and you're like, yeah. There's only a couple other places they could go.
No,
also.
exactly.
This is kind of like number 7 down the list in a way, because I think you get paid pretty well.
Yeah, you do.
If you're like singing or speaking roles in a live performance because of the union stuff. But
performing to 2,000 people 4 times a day for that long of a tenure, and you're able to legitimately perform and sing because
that's consistent work.
That's
too.
really cool.
Right. I mean, the older I get in the entertainment business, the more I'm like, oh, these people have it made.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
They got a pretty cushy gig over there. Maybe I should paint myself blue.
Right.
I don't have the stature to be the genie, though.
No.
You do, though.
I guess I mean, I could perhaps do it. It feels like a lot of energy expelled. Could I do 4 genies a day? I could do 1, maybe 2 genies. Could I do 4 genies a day? Maybe when I was younger. I don't know. Maybe I could. Maybe I don't know.
I think Podcast The Ride fans would notice a significant fall off in your energy levels in the recordings. Like, he's exhausting himself genieing.
That's why they got 3 genies.
Show 3, my references would just be so bad. They wouldn't even understand them.
No, you couldn't trust me with a live mic and freedom to riff. I'd be fired within a week, guaranteed.
Yeah. Oh, this is a Jennifer Hudson dance line. That's what I'm dancing like.
Your mind.
Like, what is that?
Your mind would just start glitching, just like
it would
salt
be
and
bad.
pepper, salt and pepper, salt.
Let's move to armchair engineering because that's the end of the fun facts. This is just something we ask our folks over at fyapod.com, our folks who support us over on Fourth Wall. What's one thing you would do to possibly make this attraction even better? Here are some of the submissions that we got. Emily says, this is just sad. This is the top voted comment, but how about bring it back so we can all feel even the slightest amount of joy nowadays? Not really a suggestion, but I hope you're okay. This comes from Ryan. This isn't me. It would have been great to add Abu in. There's a ton of ways to do this nowadays with holograms, animatronics, puppets, or even just an actor. I could also say the same thing for Raja.
Yeah.
B. Robinson says, add in a pre-show of just the genie doing stand-up with crowd work.
I would love that.
Hype the crowd up, give non-sickos a reason to keep going back. Pretty good idea. They probably have to pay a little extra, though. Sammy G says, I think the best way to improve this is to get new genie masks, because the ones they had before were so creepy.
Yeah, the kickline genie masks were terrifying. Yeah.
It feels like you're about to get killed in the Purge.
Yes, they are definitely like, a bunch of genies are robbing a bank. And this is the mask they're going with to like strike fear into the hearts of the bankers. You can't, again, it's the thing you can't quite tell from farther away.
No.
But when you see the pictures of, especially because Genie would do that was another very impressive thing is when Genie would come down
the stairs
during Friend Like Me, the stairs with the whole Genie chorus or whatever. But they would all be in scary masks.
Yeah, where you could kind of detect the presence of the eye holes that aren't very well hidden. And it very much does kind of feel like they're going to rob a bank or they had killed the genie and skinned him.
It's possible, that they were wearing
his
face. Yeah.
It's when you regret the orchestra section. You're like,
yes. You're like kids crying and you're like, no, it's okay.
And then Matt Who suggests they probably could do something with projection mapping if they were ever to bring this back. They could bring this show back. It's already still kind of going, I imagine, like that it's on those cruise liners. I can't imagine bringing it back would be that tough of a sell, but obviously it doesn't make sense with their plans now with Avengers Campus.
Chances are it's getting demolished soon. Although I don't know, unless stuff gets canceled, but I mean, I don't know if you guys speculate. I mean, it seems like it's Avatar. It's going to be Avatar in that zone.
That's where my bet is because they could extend the land back to that bus depot area.
Yes, that's what people are saying.
And they're just generally not putting any love into that area of the park.
Which is a shame because there's a great Michelada cart there that I go for my Michi fix.
I think they'll be able to hook you up somewhere else in the park.
Well, they fucking better.
Maybe at the Beeria.
I'm canceling my Magic Key.
I mean, it's going to be a little weird going from like the Hyperion to Pandora. It's going to be pretty
I really
jarring.
don't want it to happen, but it does seem like it makes the most sense.
I'm with
right
it, man.
now.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm with
I'm
it.
not upset on a Hatbox Ghost level, by the way, when I say that.
I didn't realize that was like.
That's one of the higher tiers of my upsetness.
I guess it'll depend on how that transition looks from Buena Vista Street over.
It's got to
into
be like some
that.
big like warp tunnel or like it's such a jarring thing. They got to put up a tall wall and like a warp tunnel that's on like an angle so you can't see in.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be right there. They need all the room in the world if they're going to build a giant body of water and then the big e-ticket. Yeah. Like it's got to be.
I don't envy the work they have cut out for them because all three of us here are creatives. We've all edited and made things on our own. The fact that California Adventure has just been this ball of clay that has just been repeatedly poked and prodded by a bunch of different people to the point where I don't even know what that park is. Like, imagine if you had made something and you weren't allowed to just start over from scratch and you had to just keep adjusting on the fly while people are still actively intaking your thing.
Yeah.
That would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what this park is now.
If like California Adventure was a living organism and you're just like your arm has been replaced and now your eyeballs are different. I both agree with that in the sense that like I like it when there's like some sort of a concept. None of the parks are going to really have concepts anymore. I mean, Epcot is IP land.
Yeah.
Like with vague references to the old Epcot. So it's like it's all sort of headed there, but Epcot at the least with the layout I feel like will still have kind of a vibe. It's hard. They would have to demolish the lake and they would have to demolish Spaceship Earth to get rid of the vibe fully.
That would be so sad.
That would be, yes. They can't. I mean, they still might gut what's inside Spaceship Earth eventually, but the ball itself should be there forever. But yeah, California Adventure. I do think California Adventure is a great park now, though.
No, it's made its way there.
It's just a very all over the place in what like the concept of it is. But
I will say Epic Universe though, they kind of got ahead of all that. We're like, our theme is going to be portals where every world, like we're leaning into the fact that this is an IP land.
Well,
it's got a central theme.
And Islands of Adventure, it really kind of
that's
a
true,
very similar thing too. And not the things aren't literal islands, but they're just like it's IP land. There's a big lake or big body of water, and then there's just chunks of IP. And California Adventure is just that, but it's not organized in a nice, neat way like that is, or like Epic Universe is.
California Adventure needs more dark rides. They certainly have no Cat in the Hat, I'll tell you that, which is, I just experienced that recently. Maybe one of the greatest rides ever made.
It's fun. I will say that if Avengers e-ticket is good, and I'm skeptical that it's going to be really good, but if it is good, and then the Pandora Land is awesome, and the e-ticket is awesome, and then the Cocoa Boat ride, that's a killer lineup for a park. I will say that, if those things deliver.
The e-ticket Avengers ride, I'm pretty sure is going to be Screenland, unfortunately.
It is, yeah. It's going to be the Peter Pan and
I
Tokyo
didn't
one.
like that ride when I was there. TBH.
It's a bummer.
Have you ridden it yet?
I haven't.
Ooh.
It's weird that I think Scott Trowbridge is the lead who did Spider-Man in Islands of Adventure.
Amazing.
And he's going to be doing Avengers, I believe.
That guy's playing fast and loose. I like it.
So like they have to try to top Spider-Man in some way, which is almost impossible. It seems impossible, but we'll see.
Are you saying they didn't top Spider-Man back with Web Slingers?
I'll just sigh. I won't say anything. I'll just take a big sigh.
I don't know one person who genuinely likes that ride.
Yeah.
Well, we found him in our comment sections for that episode.
No, we didn't.
There's a few of them. Yeah.
Here's my fix.
Hey,
for
you know
that
what?
real quick.
I like when people like things, even if I don't. I'd rather have people like things than not like things.
What's the quick fix?
Here's my. I don't know. Quick depends on what the programmers say is quick. But to me, because they have the different like gauntlets you can buy. I've never tried them.
Yes, the power-ups.
To do like power-ups and stuff for the big game. The only thing I think would be fun that I would actually get excited about is if you could buy Cyclops' visor.
Oh shit.
Put them on, and then you could shoot Cyclops optic blasts at all the different things.
That would get me on it.
That would get me. I would get so excited, just hit my little thing on the side and shoot Cyclops style instead of this, which hurts like your wrists eventually.
But just doing this, that's always the coolest moment in those movies.
So cool.
When there's a part in X-Men where he has like a little risky shot. He might hit Wolverine, but I think he says like, "I have a shot. I'm going to take it."
Yep.
Love that line.
And you could do a full, like you could do the different types. Like sometimes he does a sweep. Sometimes he does the little ones. Like it would be a whole different experience, I think, with just that change.
I'm also going to start calling web slingers what you just called it, which is the big game. I can't wait to get in line for the big game.
Yeah. So the big game, which it is. I mean,
it is the big game.
Everything's a game now, which is another gripe of mine.
I agree.
So everything doesn't need to be a game.
No,
but,
I know. I think so too. Look, we're on the same page here.
I think we are.
Now, for Aladdin, if we've accepted that it is not going back ever to California Adventure, because they'll probably bulldoze the Hyperion Theater, I feel like, and this is not realistic, but imagine if they brought it to Animal Kingdom. I know they have the Lion King show there. You house it back in an area that's close enough to where they house the animals, and then the reveal of Prince Ali.
Yeah.
The bum 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 bum. He comes in on a real fucking elephant. And you have real animals integrated in the show.
I don't think they could have a real elephant walking up and down the aisles.
Just dropping shit.
More just like stepping on children or stepping on a grandma that's trying to go to the bathroom mid-show.
I think the theater would need to be very specialized to prevent stampedes.
One can dream. It's not. Is it realistic? No, but
it's a fun idea to get a real elephant in the theater. I agree with that.
That'd be a showstopper.
Yeah,
but you'd have to train it like not to shit.
If you didn't know, Byron is the resident PT Barnum. Of our podcast. I don't know if you have a resident PT Barnum.
Probably Jason Sheridan, I think. They're from the same era. I see. They're born in the same year, I think.
That's fair. Yeah. Let's move on to 5 goods and however many bads. What are 5 good things about this ride? I'm going to list 5 good things, and then we could, expand on any of those or list anyone. I just don't want to be talking the entire time. And then, what are the bad things about this ride? So the 5 good things I wrote. It was hard to narrow this down because I do really enjoy this show. First thing is obviously the genie. We talked about it at length. He's the true star of the show. Leaning into him as being the main draw was super smart.
Yeah.
Because they could have not done that. Because I remember there was an Aladdin show in Adventureland back in the day. And it used to be over, there used to be like a little Aladdin theater kind of where Tropical Hideaway is. And
the Oasis, the Aladdin's Oasis.
Correct. And I don't recall them really leaning into the powers of the genie, comedic powers that is, like this show does. So relying on him as an engine, really smart choice that needs the credit given.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it just works. Topical stuff works. It belongs in a theme park. It's there for like a sleepy dad. To sit and there's a little air conditioning, and then you say something dad recognizes, and he goes like he gets a noise.
He's
and then
back online.
That gives him a little juice, and he gets to make it through the day after that. Yeah,
he turns into the Leo meme from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That's right. Yeah.
Next thing I wrote, set pieces. Particularly the Cave of Wonders.
Look, the Cave of Wonders. The setting for one of our most famous legends.
That thing is an absolute fucking unit. That thing is huge. And I love that the mouth opens. Like, once again, these sets were made by a Tony-nominated dude.
Yeah.
Or no, actually, I believe he won a Tony. So... I mean, legit. They got legit artisans to work on pretty much every stage of this production, which... They didn't have to do that.
Yeah, you could get away with less.
The reveal.
They have.
In places, yeah.
The reveal of the Cave of Wonders is also
amazing.
spectacular because it's like a fake curtain that they have up to start the show, and then it's like really just like a scrim you can see through.
Yes.
Yeah, really cool moment.
Which, by the way, I do love that moment at the beginning of the show when it's just they're singing like kind of like the lo-fi version of Arabian Nights, and you have like the camel puppet, and it just all works. It really works. Like I think the narrator, and I just think it starts small, which is a really smart idea for a theme park show because then people go, "Is this all this is? Is it just a guy on stage with a puppet?" And then the curtain goes up, and you see this like massive, well-built set, and you're like, oh, wow, they really went for it here. I remember being pretty struck by that when I first saw it, like really impressed at the effort being put in, as much as a 13-year-old boy could be impressed by something.
It's like the Team America fake out in a way.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Like, I guess it'll be a little puppet show or whatever, but like, oh, no, wait.
Oh, that's right, yeah. It's like in France when they're doing
You think they look really shitty,
yeah.
The next thing I wrote, genuine Broadway caliber musical numbers, particularly Friend Like Me. We talked about that. There's a full staircase that kind of is an homage to all the classic musicals with a full chorus line of terrifying genies. Not a commentary on the genie's costuming, but the number itself. Real people singing, real talented people singing and performing. The number that, To Be Free, the new number that Alan Menken wrote for this, is actually quite good. And the performer who plays Jasmine, I mean, every time I've seen this show, I've always just been like, this person could legitimately sing quite well.
That's her like solo. Jasmine gets a solo showcase in this.
I like
which
that.
She doesn't in the movie,
You should. It's good enough to be in the movie.
Yeah.
They should remake the movie.
Insanely good voice, like incredible control.
Also, I've always been really fond of the magic carpet costume.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yes.
so good because it plays into. I feel like physical comedy nowadays is kind of a lost art. So seeing a costume that basically is just physical comedy, I think that's really fun. I also like that you could see the person's face and they have the little tassel hat, which is cute.
Having the magic carpet kind of, I don't want to say like a moat, but it has like just so many crazy forms of expression through it. It really works. Like that, the hands are basically, what are they, like tassels?
They're tassels, but also
Like the
the
corner-
hat is like a
Yeah,
tassel
is a big
hat.
yeah.
It's like a coil of rope and then the tassel on top. It's really cute.
She'll like rotate the head around in a way.
She does a lot of great stuff. And going back to the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood meme of pointing at something you recognize, that was my grandma every time we saw this show because she was like, an Asian person. Because the person who played the magic carpet was always this Asian woman, and we were always like, hey,
Well, that's cool.
look at that, an Asian person on stage. How about that?
That was the carpet probably was second in like getting laughs.
I would
of
agree.
The whole of everybody in the show.
Carpet does good.
Really good physical comedy, yeah.
Everyone walking out going, good carpet. That's really
Yeah.
good carpet.
Good show, good carpet.
This is a smaller thing, one of the more minute details as opposed to these other kind of overarching themes. But I really like during the A Whole New World sequence to represent the flying of the carpet. They have people just walking on stage with the fog with landmarks.
Oh, right. Yes.
that's right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
cute. I just think that's such a clever way to. I think what it encapsulates about this show is this show obviously has huge set pieces and very impressive sets and numbers and things like that, but there are still small little moments that make it feel kind of like homegrown, like that, like little things like the people just walking with the Eiffel Tower over their head or the camel puppet that's like a typical marionette style string puppet. Like there are small little things that still kind of ground it.
And give it some charm.
Give it charm, exactly.
Yeah. Everything doesn't have to be a big scope and scale. You can still have some little charming little thing.
And I think
Yeah.
it's one of the few nuanced shows that Disney's put out that kind of does that, because a lot of them do feel kind of like all or nothing or all or nothing, quite literally. And I just miss this era of Disney where like they really put stock into live entertainment, because that's kind of gone.
Yes. They've definitely cut back on live entertainment. They're still in places, but yes, that is really what I think, that little extra, like something people remember from a trip.
Yeah.
Whether it just be a performer you run into on the street or whatever, or in a big show like this.
Especially because most of this show was almost just preying on unsuspecting victims that were looking for air conditioning.
Yes.
And then they were like, oops, I'm in a Broadway production.
Like, oh, wow. Because it's even though it's a big building, it's kind of like you're not quite sure how big it is. So
No.
like you wander in a massive building, and then like okay,
It really is like an out of the box scenario. Like I definitely had that same reaction when I walked in. I was like, this is like a fucking legit theater.
right. That's so much fun going into a new theme park, or the luxury of going to like Disneyland a lot, especially when I hadn't been so much, is that you just wander into something. You go, I didn't know that the Beast's wing was in the animation bill, which is gone now.
Gone
but like,
now, yep.
you would happen upon things both big and small.
No, they're definitely kind of getting rid of all the nooks and crannies that you could find.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad. And why I keep saying
Like
it, but
the
what I liked
rivers.
about Epic Universe.
Yeah.
I like that there's little nooks and crannies. But
Yeah, it's true.
and I did write 1/6 good because I couldn't resist. This is something that I don't know if anyone else shares, but I love the snake puppet delivering Jafar's dialogue.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
It always makes me laugh so hard because it's done without any kind of tongue-in-cheek nature. It's just,
I want you to make me an all-powerful genie! Let's go now, okay? Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice!
it's the pinnacle of conflict in the show.
Yeah.
And it's this giant snake puppet just moving its mouth, delivering Jafar.
Yeah.
Like, I'm winning, basically, is what he's
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
And I'm just like, this fucking funny snake puppet.
He's got a fake body. I mean, Genie kind of has a fake body too.
Yeah, yeah.
So they both have like these fun, like muscle suit kind of things they're wearing.
do.
When Jafar's like red and big and stuff.
It's so funny. Like, it's just a giant cobra head delivering serious dialogue. It
That is good.
really cracks me up every time I see it. What are some of the small things that you like about this show, if I have missed any?
I mean, that's you covered a lot of them, and I could just list jokes I like, but that
For
wouldn't
sure.
be good.
I mean, I don't mind. Let's talk about let's talk about like maybe one or two
I wrote them down.
top bits.
He goes like, I can't make people fall. Can't make people fall in love. And he does like Dr. Phil voice.
Oh yeah.
I don't really need to do this. Like Jack Sparrow no, he did Austin Powers into Jack Sparrow.
Oh damn.
Well, means you've got 3 kind of mean, class. 3 groovy wishes coming your way, baby. Yeah. I do. Hold on there, mate. Before you go sailing off to Tortuga all by your onesie. We've got some rules to go over, savvy?
It literally like he could just knock me on the floor with these. So I really the stuff that's good is everything you said, but just the rewatchability of the show overall is like you don't legitimately both if you like it like legit ironically half and half. You don't have a lot of things where like you have that much that can change from show to show.
Yes.
So, I mean, newer rides now, obviously Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff, like there's different songs and stuff that change the mood. But I was like, this, you really can go every time.
It's different.
And enjoy it in a different way.
There, I believe, was a joke directed at Iago, the parrot, Jafar's parrot.
Oh, yeah.
That I believe it referred to him as a tiki room reject.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yes,
Which
he would say that often, I think.
And now for the Tiki Room reject. Hey, ow!
I don't know if that was because I think that came after the Tiki Room under new management, which is over at Magic Kingdom.
Right.
That quote unquote caught on fire and they discontinued that show, but it was like really poorly received. So I don't know. It's pretty good. Pretty good joke.
He does there was a one in that same video where he's like, he starts making fun of the new Terminator movie and he goes, "Get to the walkout."
Oh, yeah, that's so good.
Right.
And then I'm like, that's Robin Williams would have done that.
No, for sure.
That's for sure. I also like, I don't know if this is a bigger philosophical discussion. Deadpool, I feel like, was much bawdier even in the parks. I don't know if you saw this show they did.
I did.
And he made a joke, which I thought there's no way he shouldn't get fired for this. He made a joke about that lawsuit about somebody who had like an allergy and passed away in Disney Springs.
Oh.
And that there was some legal dispute where Disney claimed that because they had
The Disney Plus one, right?
Yes, they had clicked the terms. They agreed to terms on Disney Plus that they weren't liable or something. Which then somebody was saying, "Oh, this is some way of Disney getting the case sent to like arbitration or whatever the term is, legal term." Deadpool made a joke about this at California Adventure over the winter, and I almost fell out of my chair. I saw it in a video. I wasn't there, and when I saw the show,
You could
it
have
was
been sitting
much
in a chair at
tamer.
home.
That's true. I could have fallen out of a chair at home, but I was like, do I want this level of like raw honesty from my genie, or do I like that genie is gentler?
I personally, I think that's a bit much, but I will say that I liked that Deadpool in particular, when it was the Deadpool and Wolverine show, that he poked fun at the parks.
Yes, I did like that. Yes.
Because Genie didn't poke fun at the parks as much. He was much more kind of in the pop cultural kind of like realm. But like making fun of some of the Disney things is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
And that's
I agree
why
with
I
that.
liked that.
Right.
But yeah, joking about that is wild, man.
I was like, how did he get away with this?
Maybe he didn't. You never know.
It's possibly
they could
he
have
didn't.
fired that
Come back,
Deadpool.
yeah.
He's wearing a mask.
Very possible, yes.
But moving on to some bads here, and honestly, these are mostly just missiles from that Variety article, which are so passive aggressive and they're so funny because they're kind of compliments, but they're really talking shit. These are quotes, by the way. The only introspective moment in the show is provided by composer Alan Menken, who has added a new tune to the score, "To Be Free." That's just a sentence from the article. It's a Aladdin Broadway musical theme park show. No one's going there to see somebody, question the duality of man. That's crazy to be like, I can't believe this show didn't take a headier approach to the source material.
Yeah, that's funny. I think the idea of theme parks as art has actually come around a little bit.
I agree.
Now in this day and age.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe back then there was already a snootiness going in.
Yeah.
That this was some BS entertainment.
This is an article from 2003.
It was a big Power of Blast fan.
possible that, yeah.
Bring back the blast. Another sentence here, and this is the last one for the article. I encourage you to read it, though. The canned orchestrations and mixed to the max onstage voices do not convey much sincere human interaction.
Okay.
This guy's really about, like, I want grounded Aladdin.
Uh-huh.
Meanwhile, Aladdin's like strapped to cables and doing all I gotta do is jump.
All I gotta do is jump!
But he floats over.
I'm just picturing this like person just sitting cross-armed the entire show, just being
Like the Ratatouille film or food critic.
Anton Ego.
Yeah. What are we saying here with this jump? What does this really mean? Like,
Show me something real, Disney.
Yeah.
Where exactly has he ascended to in his mind and in his soul?
These are the questions that the 5 writers were not asking. And then I have some of my own bads. I love the show. These are some little nitpicks. I kind of wish that the Iago bird was doing, much like the genie's doing a Robin Williams impression. I wish the bird was doing the Gilbert Gottfried impression.
Yeah, I feel like I saw a couple versions of Iago, and it was. I'll say this: I don't know that Iago ever did well with the audience.
I don't think Gilbert Gottfried did really well with many audiences.
Some audiences,
I love him.
Some audience, yeah, some audiences, but not all of them for sure. But yeah, I feel like Iago wasn't always hitting the level of Genie and Carpet.
No, he was definitely like B-tier Zazu from Lion King. Like,
I remember he would do a lot of like, whoa, like with the hand.
Yeah, he would.
And I just remember being like, I don't think this is working, Iago.
No, especially when you're like trading barbs with the Genie performer who has full attitude to do whatever he wants, and you have to do this kind of canned, like, goofy hand comedy.
There's a big surprise. Yeah, think I'm gonna have a heart attack from not surprise. Silence!
Choking!
Bird choking.
You do get a sense of relief when Jafar chokes him out, right?
Yes, I think people
it's
like that.
Oh, okay, that's good.
I can get behind this. Kill that bird. Another bad I wrote, the show is not immune, and this isn't the show's fault, so I feel bad even saying it, but it's not immune to goofy theme park interactions from the audience, like, when people are like, you're like, no, or
look
like,
over here,
look over here. Have you guys seen a lamp?
Yeah.
It's behind you.
I have a lot of affection for that trope, though. 'Cause ever since I saw the Ninja Turtles coming out of Rochelle's tour, when it's like, Shredder, has anyone here seen Shredder? And you're like, yeah, we saw him. He was behind you. And like, what? What is it? Shredder was here. Why don't you know? Like ever since I got to do that when I was little, I think I like that.
Yeah, this is definitely a bad from a grumpy 30-year-old man that's like, this isn't for me. This Aladdin's children's show is not for me in this moment.
That's okay. I'm not upset by that, but yeah.
I do like though when they boo Aladdin. The audience always boos Aladdin when he goes back on his promise to use his wish to give the genie freedom.
Actually, I'm sorry, but I might still need that final wish.
You hear that? Those are my thoughts.
I do like that a lot. I like people going, fuck you, Aladdin.
Yeah.
You
suck.
suck.
They're right.
Because they're emotionally invested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good.
They know.
And then I think, I don't even know if I agree with this.
Say it. We'll see.
I did write at the time of doing my write-up for this that they could tone down the genie just a tad. I think he's at an 11. I could use him at a 9.
I want him at a 19.
I get it, but it does kind of feel like let's throw everything at the wall kind of approach.
Yeah.
I could use 1 or 2 less pop culture references.
I think they could cut most of it down to just the genie scene and make it longer.
I would watch a one-man genie show.
I understand from the standpoint of balance in a show and wanting to see sort of the narrative of Aladdin taken care of in the right way. And because there's definitely parts of the genie I remember going like, oh, he feels like he's on like an extra couple minutes here.
Yeah.
He's really riffing here. But I don't see this show in that way. This show to me is a showcase for the genie. So I respect what you're saying, but unfortunately I completely disagree.
That's fair. Look, I know you have an improv background as well. Sometimes it feels a little Linerama to me, to be honest.
100%. 100% it is.
And that could be a bit much sometimes.
If you're looking for a show, this is not necessarily what you're going to want from it. I understand that. But if you're looking for how many references can Genie pummel me with?
That's right. Pummel's a good way to describe it, by the way.
Because you are pummeled. I was trying to write it down. I think I got like 6 things within a minute. I think he got 6 references in a minute.
Dude.
So yeah, so that it's a different thing. It's a different, especially for me who had been a couple times. I was going for different reasons.
I've seen this show so many times, and maybe that's what it is. And look, I almost didn't want to read that because I do enjoy. He's my favorite part of the show. I just think you could turn the main down just a tad. Just turn it to a 9.
I know why you're saying it. I completely understand why you're saying it. It makes a lot of sense to me if you were noting it from a reasonable person's standpoint. A normal person's standpoint.
That's very kind of you to call me a reasonable person.
You seem very reasonable.
Thank you.
I am reasonable in some ways and very unreasonable in others.
That's fair.
So yes, I would want Jeannie just to interrupt a lot of other scenes just before. Now this is contradicting what I'm saying about Hatbox Ghost, where it doesn't make sense. I don't care if we haven't rubbed the lamp, doesn't matter. Jeannie shows up early.
Yeah, exactly.
He pops in to do some whatever.
Put him in the haunted mansion. Just
he makes
every now
a
and
joke about John Voight saving Hollywood. If it was now, so whatever I read this morning, he's going to make a joke about it.
Oh boy, I don't know if I want to hear anything from John Voight nowadays.
Yeah, I don't know how it would be. What would be interesting is how political Jeannie would be allowed to get in the last decade. That's what I'm wondering.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
Because they got out right before
Trump in 2016.
Exactly, they got out right before. So I wonder. There was probably a few references.
You've always stuck around the. Mainly pop culture.
Usually.
There's always entertainment. I don't recall.
Well, Disney's trying to go down the middle. They're not trying to alienate.
I wonder if you get away with like a tariff reference now, but that's it. You could do like a little, because like he would once in a while say something newsworthy, but I wonder if that's as hardcore as you would get.
I think that's a really good point. I never thought about him in today's era. Wow, that's fascinating.
The size of like crowd size jokes. I'm trying to think of like
God,
what.
That's so good.
Like I think we could all come up with some off the top of our heads, but I wonder what he would have been allowed to get. I do often think, what would Jeannie say about this? Like when I'm thinking about,
you have a WWGD bracelet instead of the J,
right? So he would not be so political, but he would definitely. I feel like there would be one or two, and I wonder what would be softball enough to make a general audience laugh at Disneyland.
Here's a pitch, and going along with your other pitch to Michael Eisner. What if they don't bring the show back wholesale, but every year at the end of the year, as kind of like an end of the year celebration, they do one performance and they just let the genie go nuts?
I would love it.
I actually think that would do really well. Like if that was like an after hours event.
Yeah.
I mean, it certainly would be better received than like some of their other after hours events. No shade intended, but I'm just saying that like if they did that, I would watch that show.
Absolutely. Yes. I think it would go well. I mean, I think you can put like in the with Fantasyland Theater and Disneyland, you just throw the genie up on stage.
Yeah. Let him do 10 minutes.
Do a Q&A.
Yeah.
Let him riff a little bit with the audience.
Give him the red light when he's done.
The turtle talk with Crush Spirit. Just like up. Get him in there, roast some people for whatever.
Yes.
And if it's in Disney World, that's a multi-pass lightning lane attraction.
I think, all kidding, I mean, they use Genie. They sacrifice Genie at the altar of their new app.
Yes.
That's gone already. Genie and Genie Plus. They've changed the name on that.
That's true.
It's bizarre. They were like going to experiment with Genie. One of their most popular characters is the face of this untested version of whatever.
Untenable app, too.
Yes. Genie was going to tell you how to plan your day or whatever. And like, that's all gone, whatever. I don't know that it damaged Genie as a character. You could argue yes or no. But I don't think they're using him enough. I think they could definitely apply him somewhere else.
No, they definitely. Way. I completely forgot they had him curate an itinerary for you, and honestly, they were always ass. They were so bad.
Yeah, it was nothing. It was why don't you go eat churro right now? Like, well, you were supposed to plan my day for me.
I know.
To be efficient, and then that did not. That went right out the window because I wanted to do a whole day where I competed against Genie.
I see.
And then that just was never possible to do a full day. Because I was like, I bet I could do the day better, hit more rides and stuff than this app claims. And then the app just was such a disaster.
It was.
It never did what it was saying. They said it was going to do.
I would do it if the Genie Plan My Day extended to beyond the park and I could do it every day. And if he was like, hey, Ryan, you should drink a glass of water. You've had 2 cups of coffee, no water today. You should probably drink that water. Then I'd be like, I'm in, Genie.
If Genie could be your personal assistant.
Exactly. Or just like a pocket mom. of sorts to just
That
be
would
like,
be great.
Hey, Jeannie, I'm going to go record FYA. And it's like, get a real job.
yeah, well, Jeannie, you should believe in my dreams then.
What are you doing with your life?
I'll tell you. I'm talking about why Gilbert Gottfried should be respected more on the stage production of Aladdin and California Adventure. My last bad that I wrote here. This is very similar to when people laugh at that scene in The Dark Knight when Harvey Dent doesn't recognize the Joker's the Joker until he takes the mask off of the nurse. I think it's hilarious that she doesn't recognize Aladdin's Aladdin when he's Prince Ali.
Oh, yeah.
It's hilarious.
It's very Superman.
It's worse than Superman.
It is worse.
He doesn't even have
yeah.
glasses on. He has a hat.
But I thought you were Prince Ali.
I meant to tell you sooner or later.
Prince Ali, yes it is he, but not as you know him.
It's not as jarring in the film for some reason to me as it is in the production of because I'm like watching both. I'm like, that's clearly
That's
him.
the guy, yeah.
I seen his abs.
Yeah, but the thing
And
is,
his
like,
vest.
once he's dressed as Prince Ali, he's hiding those abs.
That's true.
You know
that's
what?
where her eyes were the entire
Right,
time.
she couldn't take her eyes off
Couldn't
the
get
abs.
those.
Yeah.
I'm up here kind of thing.
Right.
Okay, never mind. I'm going to cross that
Yeah,
out.
cross that one
I'll
out.
cross that one out right now. And with that, let's move to the world class.
I have
tests.
a really.
Oh, you have another bad?
I
Do
have
you guys
a
have any
bad
nitpicks on the show?
because I didn't want to bring it up in fun facts because it's really sad.
Oh God.
But so one of the main actors, Billy Kometz, who played Aladdin, he passed away in 2022. Yes,
Well,
colon
RP.
cancer. So
Damn.
yeah, it's about he's 35 years old. Obviously, he had incredible abs.
Come on, you can't say that now, man.
I'm just saying that he was in what would appear to be incredible health, and as someone who has had a friend who recently recovered from colon cancer, it's really eye-opening and kind of a bummer. And it's just I don't know if PSAs are the right thing to do on this show, but
I mean, if we're doing
Yeah,
the PSA,
just,
check it out. Check yourself out. If you're
Absolutely,
at the right
yeah.
age, I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah,
a wise
'cause
piece
That's
of
a good.
advice.
That's a good piece of advice. Yeah, I should get checked out.
yeah, because
Yeah, you may as well.
you would never think it, and then
No.
that happens.
As
so.
somebody who has similar ab structure, I have to get myself checked as well.
That makes sense.
I want you to come in this next show with the vest.
Not here. Maybe on FYApod.com. You know,
It's an exclusive. For
it's
people,
basically
yeah.
our OnlyFans. It's a front for our OnlyFans.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool.
And we don't have any. So, okay, moving on to the world class tests. This is the crown jewel of this podcast. It's a very silly rubric of 10 tests, painstakingly devised by Byron and myself to determine if an attraction is world class. To receive the highly coveted world class pass, the attraction must pass 7 out of 10 tests. A score of 6 out of 10 leaves the attraction up for debate for world class pass standing, and anything lower than 6 out of 10 is an automatic fail. I really hope we get this through. It's already dead. There's no need to kick a dead horse here, but we'll see what happens. Let's start with test number 1, the average tourist test. Does the experience of this show justify the average wait time?
Yes, because especially strategically, you could choose how long you would wait, depending on where
I would
you
agree.
would want to sit. Yeah.
Also, you're not, despite that anecdote from your mom, I don't really ever recall people waiting longer than 30, 40 minutes for this.
Well, that's what I was going to say is that experience, that first go we had was very much an average tourist experience, not being familiar with the show, getting acquainted to the new park, not having strategies in place. So yes, we waited there quite a while because also the demand was really high because it was a new show.
Yes.
And we did hate waiting there, but we also were very satisfied leaving the show.
It's a good wait to ride ratio here.
I remember that we were still very satisfied and felt like it was definitely worth waiting for at the end of the show. So I think it's a pass.
Pretty self-explanatory too. You get in line, you get into the show. I know there was a time when they were distributing like fast passes to, what line you were supposed to stand in, but I think you can't complain about a 45-minute Broadway level production for free. That you may have to wait 30 minutes for the
opinion. Majority of this show's 13-year run, it was pretty easy to get a decent seat.
So we going pass on this one?
I think so. Pass for sure.
1 for 1. Moving to the smartphone test number 2. Does the queue of this ride have enough to keep you off of your phone? Not literally, but does the queue offer enough immersion to keep you entertained? This is a big no, for sure. I know this isn't a ride, but you could easily create a really cool Aladdin queue that was covered or something like that for the show. 13 years is a long time to have chain link switchbacks.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. Is there any theater show that has like a very impressive queue? I mean, obviously Muppets and stuff like the 3D, the shorter shows, but that's going to house less people. So I wonder if there's even a precedent for like some sort of massive pre-show for something like this.
There is, the new Harry Potter show.
Oh, that's true.
Does have a pretty crazy pre-show
I saw it.
queue area.
Le Cirque Arcanu.
Cirque Arcanu, of course. I'm very familiar. Is it the same? It is a big theater, but is it a big or small theater? I can't remember.
It's definitely smaller than this.
Way smaller, yeah.
But I don't see how that factors into why they wouldn't create a cool staging area, or at the very
least
least
do something else for
put
sure.
a roof over that concrete slab.
That would be nice. I was front row at Cirque Arcanu.
Oh shit!
Yeah, front row. How about that?
That's a good one.
There's some things they do in the show. It's like, how do they do that?
Yeah.
That's a magic trick.
It is cool.
But no, I've been to some stage productions before. I mean, even if you want to make the argument, Waterworld, I'm sure you're standing out in that little pit at the beginning, but the pre-show offered of Waterworld, when you're sitting waiting for the show to start, I would consider part of the queue.
Oh yeah, okay.
And that shit is incredible.
That is fun. Yeah.
Somebody in the armchair mentioned if they had the genie doing crowd work. Could have been fun. But I do think this is a fail.
It's a fail. I think the most you had to look at was Tower of Terror at the time.
You did.
In the backdrop, and that's not really going to hold your interest
Within
for that
world,
long.
for sure.
So yeah, it's a fail, unfortunately.
We got a fail from you, Mike.
Yeah, I'll say fail.
Okay, 1 for 2. Moving on. Test number 3, the Tony Stark test. How innovative is this attraction? Does it push theme park tech forward?
Literally technology?
I would say, yeah.
I'll say yeah. I'll go with a yes.
I'm going to go with a yes, too. I think they did some stuff here that had never been done before in a stage production at a theme park, for sure.
And that's
Absolutely.
sailing people over. I don't know who the first production that sailed things over people's heads for real, but it's before Spider-Man Turned Off the Dark.
Yeah.
Which
that was at Universal,
Spider-Man.
right?
No,
Well, I'm talking about
is it the ill-fated Broadway one?
Because there was a Spider-Man
There was
Rocks
Spider-Man
show.
Rocks,
Yeah.
which was before this, but I don't know how much swinging over the audience that show had.
And that one, it's like he's dangling from a rope because he's Spider-Man, so it's not like the suspension of disbelief quite literally isn't there.
That's true.
No, I think this was the first show that really displayed, hey, you could have like a Broadway caliber performance in a theme park.
It definitely upped the ante.
There was nothing quite like it.
Yeah, Fantasmic is earlier, but it's a different type of show.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's not running 4 times a day, 365 days out of the year. Sometimes they don't run Fantasmic.
Not in like a
Wednesday.
curated theater setting.
Yes. Yeah. And also just like, the level of artisans that they had come onto this show, and also the length. This is, I'd be hard pressed to find a theme park show that's longer than this.
No, that's the 45 minutes is perfect.
Frozen is a little longer.
Oh, it is.
I believe. I think because we saw Frozen once or twice, and it was like that was longer.
How long was Rogers? Did you see that?
You know what? I never saw
Neither
it for
did
whatever reason. I wanted
did I.
to see it. I liked I thought it was funny in Hawkeye, but I just never ended up seeing it. I don't know why.
Well, this seems like a pass.
It's a pass. Absolutely.
Moving on, 2 for 3. We're doing great. The Hollywood test. Could the story or world presented in this attraction be a feature-length film? Yes.
I would say so.
Does a pretty good job of distilling that movie down, by the way.
Inherited, sure, but
I mean,
a really good adaptation.
It's not. I don't want to discredit the feat of cutting down a film to 40 minutes and having it all make sense and still be satisfying.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
No, that's a definite pass for me.
So that's a pass. Moving on, we're flying through this. 3 for 4. The Simpson test, test number 5. How likely is this to be replaced with something new, a la Back to the Future, with The Simpsons, unfortunately? And this was replaced. And I say it every time we cover a defunct attraction. People are like, it's unfair that a defunct attraction automatically gets 1 point docked. But the point of the test is that if it's not a DNA intrinsic part of a park, then it maybe isn't a world-class attraction. Or at least it should be docked a little bit for that. So this is obviously an automatic fail. It got replaced by Frozen.
Yep.
Killed by Olaf in the street like a dog. So that's an automatic fail. Moving on, 3 for 5, test number 6, which is, let me get it on my clipboard here. The sleeper cell test. Is there a sound or soundtrack on this ride that if heard outside the park would immediately activate you like the Manchurian Candidate or the Winter Soldier and place you on the ride?
Yes, I suppose, but it's also hard, as you said earlier. It's kind of a hard question?
Because it's movies.
It's a movie already.
A lot of the sounds are already pre-existing.
Technically, yes, but it does not fair, maybe.
I think for this one, we could give a little leeway.
I also think that the opening spiel when you get into the Hyperion Theater of like when they just like they lay the rules down and they welcome you to the Hyperion Theater, but it's still kind of in the tone of Aladdin. I find extremely soothing.
Look, I'll go with it. I'll go with that.
But I'm just trying to think if there's original bites. There's
an original song in this, which I think should alone pass this because it's,
that's true.
It's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And then there's also different renditions of the classic songs, particularly Arabian Nights at the beginning, which is kind of a stripped down version. And if you want to count any of the quips that the genie does, those are all original bites. I mean, all three of us had remembered at least one of these jokes. So
I think yes.
I think we could pass it.
Yeah,
I think we can pass it. Look, if you call that a muscle drop, I don't care. 4 for 6. Moving on. Test number 7. The premature detraculation test. Does this ride finish too soon, or is it a good length? Some rides last too long. This is tough because your mom quite literally said it was too long.
Throw that out. I don't believe it's too long. Like think about it this way. Yeah, 45 minutes. You get like basically a Broadway like length condensed.
Yeah, but what if you're not looking for that?
So like, where do you draw the line? Then?
I'm just saying. I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know what.
So
you know what. I will say there is something to be said about how there aren't many 45-minute shows out there anymore. It seems like they try and max them out nowadays.
25
at 30.
20. Yeah.
I think that if you brought this to 30 minutes or less, though, I think the story would suffer tremendously.
I agree.
You would lose some significant numbers in the process, some amazing set pieces. And I just got to say, like, and especially when this was originally created, and honestly, even if it was still here today, I run out of stuff to do at California Adventure pretty damn quick. And there's sometimes as a pass holder, I used to go to this show. If there's like an evening show, I would basically like combine it with like dinner. It would be like kind of instead of dinner, a movie. I was like going out to see theater, but that was included with your ticket price.
Were you able to eat and drink in this show?
No, like I would like get it. I would get like the meal elsewhere.
This would be like the ultimate like beer show then.
Yeah, there was actually one time it was during my quote unquote winter retreat that I used to do back when the Grand Californian was affordable in January when it was like the off season. You could get like really good rates, but where I actually dressed up and like went to Carthay Circle and then went to Aladdin after. So it was like a night out of the show. And then
like an opera night?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like it was like winter. It was like January. So I had my little pea coat on and like went to the show and it was tremendous. So I'm giving this shit a pass.
That's unlike the bet that you and I have.
It's a perfect length.
Byron and I have some sort of bet. We don't know what the parameters are, but whoever loses has to do rope drop to close at a park in a full suit.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It sounds awful. It sounds completely
Well, it depends
awful.
what time of year.
If you're doing it in Florida.
Yeah, I guess that
I think this would be Disneyland Park proper.
That still sounds awful.
I personally, I'm not saying I'm not going to lose whatever this bet becomes, but if I did happen to wear a suit in a park for an entire day, I'd like there to be, a long list of attractions and experiences that Disneyland would be able to offer if it was rope drop to close. The downside of Disneyland rope drop to close, though, is that's like an 8 a.m. to midnight.
Oh, right. That's a long day.
It's a long day.
There might be benefits to like a Knott's or something. But anyways, that's a pass.
Well, I got a
me.
pass on this one, too. It's perfect. It's 45 minutes.
Yeah, pass.
Okay, moving on. 5 for 7. We're good. Like, we just need one more to get into Debateland. Test number 8. Oh, God. There's no way it's going to pass this one. Okay, the run it back test. Is there enough in this experience offered to warrant multiple re-rides? And do you have enough bounce in your step after this ride to ride it again?
Yes.
Now, the first part, for sure, yes. The second part, I don't know. But I think because it's a show, you can't be like, I don't want to get on a 45-minute show 2 times in one day. Let's dock it for that. So I think we could throw that part out and just... The fact that you can rewatch the show, as you were mentioning earlier, Mike, about it's a different show every time.
It's a different show every time, and then I'm not the only lunatic that liked it on that level too, because we did do an episode about this on our podcast a couple of years ago, and Paul Rust, the actor Paul Rust,
amazing,
also independently had the same feeling the first time he went to see this.
That's very
so
nice.
was talking about it. I remember I did him at a Herald at an improv show 15 years ago, 12 years ago, I told this story about seeing this. And then the artistic director of the theater, who's friends with Paul, Neil Campbell, was like, "Oh, you got to talk to Paul Rust about that." Like, so it was already.
Oh my God.
Many other people were other people were recognizing this. So other people were going multiple times to see what the jokes would be. So that's part of my defense of my answer here of yes.
And also too, we didn't mention this earlier, but like for a person to be doing straight up improv on stage in like a Disney park, you have to be pretty skilled to keep that clean and digestible from a Disney lens and still be funny. I think there's actually a fair amount of skill involved in that. So that mixed with just all of it being topical, it's
just like the New York street performers at Universal Studios Hollywood. Like once in a while, I would curse if I was doing that.
For
voice.
Sure,
you'd just be like, "Look at this! I mean, look at this!" I would try not to say the F word, but like it would come out if I'm doing that voice.
You're doing a Brooklyn voice, every now and then a fuck's gonna slip out.
What are you looking at, you piece of shit?
Nice fucking Dodgers hat.
Sorry. Excuse me. So sorry. I did not mean to say that. That's just I'm in the character.
You are a 6-year-old.
Yeah. No, I stop crying, please.
That's definitely Mike would definitely be accosting 6-year-olds.
Yeah.
Also, people were talking shit to those New York street performers too. That's another
part
thing.
of it. And you'd be like, "What the fuck?" I mean, excuse me, sir. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to say that. That's be a lot of apologies.
It's tough. It's a tough gig, and he makes it work. I think it's worth a pass. I'm passing it, Byron. You look like you're not down.
I mean, I wouldn't see this twice in one day.
Yeah, I think you get rid of that for the show, though. I think you could amend it for a show. This is a new test. Look, it's our rubric. I think you could amend.
You are allowed to do
make
whatever
a
you
bend
want.
for a show because that means like Fantasmic. I'm not passing if I like.
Say
I'm not
it was
see
my
that
fault.
twice.
People could blame me in the comments.
Look, I'm already out 2 or 3, but I will say there's no show that I've seen. Maybe Fantasmic and World of Color, but this is like right up there with them. Of
Amount of
shows
rewatches.
that I go back to rewatch.
I agree.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hell yeah. All right. Then it's in debate land then. Great. Test number 9. The exit through the gift shop test. Would you, in theory, pick up merch for this ride as you exit through the imaginary gift shop? Does this ride inspire you to sport your love for it?
If they made what I want, which would be like shirts with the genie performers on them, not the genie cartoon, the genie from the show, the 3 men who played the genie. If it was like that specific, I would have owned that shirt in no time.
Interesting.
That's what I would have wanted. They don't have a good gift shop for Aladdin stuff. They never did, I don't think. There was no kiosk that had stuff after
they did
the show.
I'm going to be honest, I can't see myself wearing Aladdin
the
the
answer
musical
for most
spectacular.
people is no, and I understand that.
I personally, and I don't like wearing merch.
No
as you
way,
know.
dude.
Just the simple black background logo of Aladdin, a musical spectacular. I would consider having that shirt.
Look, I'm happy to be outvoted here. I think it's a clear fail for me. I wouldn't put money down to purchase something for this show because you imagine you see somebody in line, they're wearing an Aladdin, a musical spectacular shirt on. You're probably like, all right,
right,
I like that show. It's,
right,
but it's not like
But if you're a real one,
if you know what you're talking about,
you're getting a little tip of the cap. You know,
I guess that's true.
That's if you see somebody on
no
the
joke,
street,
just the simple logo on a black T-shirt. I would honestly consider buying.
I'm going no,
and
but
I don't
I'm
like
happy
getting
to be
merches.
outvoted.
How about like a crew jacket, Letterman jacket with Aladdin, a musical spectacular on the back? Like a big difference, like the putty 8-ball jacket on Seinfeld or something. With the
That would
sleeve.
look like me trying to like win back my high school experience or something.
Yeah,
with,
for sure.
A Letterman jock jacket that's actually Aladdin the musical
Would look-
spectacular.
It would look odd.
The spirit of the test, I do want to sport my love for this
I
for
don't
this
know
show.
if I'm there. I'm not there.
If there was a shirt that just said it had like Genie, the performer's face on the back, in like you really could see how weird the makeup looked up close, and then on the front it just said Snooki. I would own that shirt, and that's not a joke. I would own it tomorrow. I would buy it. Go drive down there today if I could buy it.
That's a guaranteed 10 out of 10 people you would have to explain that to.
That's the kind of shirt I like to wear.
I'm just getting a sense of your style. So
yeah,
then it's a fail for me, but you guys passed it, so it passes.
Oh, great.
All right.
And that means
Nice.
It's done it.
It's officially a world-class attraction. Congratulations to Aladdin. 7 out of 9. Let's see if it could get to 8. Moving on, the final test, the fine wine test. Has this ride aged well, or in this case, has it aged well even though it's no longer around? Has your opinion of the attraction appreciated or depreciated since your first experience? Or if it's a new ride, do you think it will age well? Or in this case, if it's a defunct ride, do you think it has aged well?
I'll have to jump on one of the Disney cruise lines to give you the best answer at this point.
I don't know if that's exactly fair, TBH, but
But just, I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
It's tricky because the ride would age with the references.
Exactly.
It would age along with whatever was happening in the world. So it's hard for it to age other than in my own imagination. It's like I can imagine what it would be like now, which I do from time to time when I'm alone.
Light a candle.
Light a candle. I think about Genie's, like, what do you make a joke about the box office of Sinners? So like, this sucks more than the Vampires and Sinners or something.
Your daughter's like, "Where's Dad?" And she's
What's
like, "Oh,
Dad's-
he's in the garage. He's doing his genie bits."
He's thinking. So for me, it kind of does age in my fantasies, in my deep, darkest fantasies. It ages with our current world. So I think it does. I think the show still looks good on YouTube. I think that this wouldn't look out of place in a park today. I think no one would bat it. Like, no one would feel like it was dated or anything. And the movie obviously has lasted. And the references would be updated. So I think, yes, I think it does.
It's still universally received better than the Aladdin remake in 2019.
Well, that's true, except
Was
for
that
the
2016? Was 2016?
It was later.
Oh boy.
The 2019.
Speaking of which, Will Smith would have gotten some jokes in this show.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
my God.
That would have been great. That would have been, we would have gone down and done it first if that was right after the Oscars.
That would have been so good.
Exciting. But then I would want Genie to have done the Friend Like Me rap that Will Smith does too in the Aladdin movie.
Yes.
You know, that's actually a really good point because Saturday Night Live has an advantage because it's a weekly show and you can make a topical reference, but this was a daily show. So literally the next day, they could have done it.
Yes, that was the excitement.
Oh, you're right.
The excitement I felt going through the turnstiles of California Adventures. Like, they're going to say the joke. They're just going to say the joke about the headline that happened last night.
Also, I think my argument for why I think this has aged well, and I genuinely believe this, you could take the show, pluck it out of California Adventure, put it in any theme park in the world, and everyone would not bat an eye about it not being something that they just came up with today because that's how good it is.
Yeah.
Like, it would automatically, in most parks, be the best show at that park.
Yeah, I think so.
I still feel the void every time I go into California Adventure now of that show not being there.
I know.
You look at the husk of it.
Yeah,
of how much value that added to
Disney's
the
made
California
a habit of doing
Adventure.
that, leaving the skeletons of past attractions just rotting in their parks.
It's covered by the fake sky when you're going down the street, but then when you're by Guardians and you see how big that building is and how it's empty unless the Deadpool show is there, it's like,
it's California Adventure's people mover. You just see the corpse. I think this has aged quite well. I don't think there was ever any point in its tenure that I felt like this is long in the tooth. Like, it felt like it wasn't showing its age even when it was still there.
No.
So, as it ages in just my mind palace, I think this is a pretty perfect theme park show, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. With an IP that was already over 10 years old when
true.
When they brought it to California Adventure. So, I mean, it's just kind of it's a timeless classic. And yeah, I think it's an easy pass.
Yeah, pass. Well, that's 8 for 10, and that does it. Aladdin, a musical spectacular. 8 for 10, world-class attraction. If you don't like it, we could debate that in court over on FYApod.com. But again, thank you, Mike, for joining us. This has been a true honor. Been a fan of your guys' podcast
thanks so much.
for a while, so it's really cool to have you on, honestly.
Y'all are the godfathers of this the theme park podcasting, so I really appreciate you coming in.
I'm sure Genie made a godfather. He said, I can make an offer. He can't refuse.
And we will sign any petition you bring up to try and get Michael Demand onto your show.
Well, thank you.
Demand Eisner.
Yeah, we really need. I don't
Maybe that's
know.
how you address him. Maybe that'll get him.
There are ideas, and I won't say on air that we have. There are ideas. I don't know.
This sounds illegal, but we support it.
Very legal, I think, but just
you shoot us a text under the,
Yeah, I'll let you know. Maybe off the air.
Yeah, maybe off camera.
Well, but we want. I mean, it's my number. It's the number one dream of the show at this point.
I mean, yeah,
there's no other.
How long have you been doing it at this point? 7 years?
Yeah, 7.5.
Incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's that dream still. Is Mr. Eisner. Because he's never been... Here's what I'll say. Was the camera here?
Camera's right there, yeah.
Mr. Eisner.
We'll give him the close-up here.
The whole end of your tenure at Disney, yes, okay, there were some things, California Adventure, not so well received, but you have not gotten your flowers for the good stuff. You haven't been in a place with a bunch of rabid, let's call them 30 to 45, 48-year-olds that have affection for you. We want you to get applause, to get cheers, to get laughs, because you deserve it for all the stuff that we liked while you were CEO of Disney. So that's my pitch. Should we do it live? Yes, we should do it live. We should go and do a live show with you, sir. So that's my pitch for Mr.
I think that's
Eisner.
a great pitch.
Yeah.
It's a great pitch. He's
and he ran. Do I talk to Michael here? Or no?
Let's all talk to Michael.
Michael Demand, like you led this company through the years that turned us into theme park sickos,
The glory days,
the
yes.
90s, an incredible era.
Right.
That whether it be Fast Pass or revolutionary attractions such as Indiana Jones.
I'll go heel here just for the purpose of the clip, and maybe
That's fair,
you can entice him. I want to give you your flowers while you could still smell them, Mr. Eisner, but frankly, I don't think you have the balls to come on stage. I don't think you have it anymore. I think you would stumble over, hello, I'm Michael Eisner.
Oh my gosh.
And truly, I think you would surprise all of us, including me mainly, that if you had the courage to go on stage with Podcast The Ride. So maybe prove me wrong.
I like this.
That's one tactic.
That's a different tactic.
This was very good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
Somebody had to do it.
I agree.
I think that's how you appeal to him, by the way. I do think you would have to challenge.
That is a CEO type. Yeah.
Yeah.
Handshake, strong handshake.
That's right.
Try to outdo you.
It's because I read Art of the Deal.
Well, of course. Yeah. We've all read it.
Everyone's read that book. Yeah. I sleep with it under my pillow every night.
That's right.
But again, truly, thank you for coming on. Thanks for making the time. I know we record long.
Hey, we do too.
Yeah, I know you do too. That's also why I was like, okay, if one guy gets it, he's gonna understand this. But that does it for this episode of For Your Amusement. Again, you could support the pod by going over to Fourth Wall, fyapod.com, to help us keep this show going. You'll get 3 monthly bonus shows, including the one you just got for free.
Captain Cacao's female friend is Maya.
Has that been in the background this entire time?
When we took a break, I looked it up and I forgot to say it. I just wanted to make sure the audience wasn't left hanging.
Maya the Explorer.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, for sure. No, I think if anything,
that was important.
You needed to fill in the context there. Maya the Explorer.
Maya the Explorer.
I'd love to do an episode on Captain Cacao, to be honest.
I'm sure we will, yeah.
No, yeah. But yeah, and also our merch is over there as well. And speaking of that, here's 10 names of e-ticketers over there that we'd like to thank. Corey, Amy Teddy Barra, Ellen, Ryan Carroll. Ryan Carroll? I think I know you. Are you Shane's friend? Comment me.
I know who Ryan Carroll is.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's who we're talking about.
I think it's Ryan Carroll.
Yeah.
Ryan Carroll's great.
Yeah.
He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
Where's the Orca? Jay Spency, Strider Spider, Apitoxin, Main Man, and Mox in a Box. Thank you for all you folks for supporting the show. Follow the pod socials at FYA Pod everywhere. I'm at Ryan Bergara. Everywhere, and Byron's at Byron A. Marin. Also, Mike, is there anything you would like to plug while you're here?
Just May 23rd, 8 p.m., I'm doing an improv show.
Oh, where are you doing that at?
It's a Glendale room.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So other than just like listening to Podcast The Ride, which is about theme parks and other nonsense and pop culture stuff, Marissa Strickland and I are doing an improv show in Glendale, California.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's a little weird little like library looking room.
I got to check that out.
So it's fun. Yeah, it's the 23rd. It's 8 p.m. Go to my social, like Instagram, Michael R. Carlson, and there's links there. So
at law.
Yeah.
It's just very official sounding. Oh, and then also,
it did sound like that.
They have some live shows coming up in June.
Oh yeah,
in
that's
Orlando.
a good plug as well. Another live show, but
so
those have already sold like tickets. So I'm like worried about this other one. But there are tickets available. It's standing room only tickets. Tin Roof, June 8th, Sunday, June 8th. I should have had all my plugs ready.
we could put links. We could put links in the description too.
We'll put links, but I'll just double check what I'm talking about. But 8th, yeah, June 8th, Sundays, 2 shows back to back. Tin Roof on I Drive, mere yards away from the new Taffer's Tavern.
Okay.
John Taffer Bar Rescue Restaurant.
Way. John Taffer.
Which Scott and I visited briefly to look at the construction when we were on I Drive.
Do you like Bar Rescue as much as we do then?
Yeah, we did a whole Bar Rescue episode.
Oh my God, I have to listen to that because
Bar Rescue was like our college jam. Like,
John I have a Taffer story I have to tell you.
Just
great.
Best bug eyes in the business.
It's 3 hours. It's called Disneyland Turnstiles, and Griffin Newman interrupts the episode early to shut it down.
Incredible.
And it's basically 3 hours on John Taffer and Bart Rescue.
That's incredible. Griffin Newman, by the way, from Blank Check.
From Blank Check.
I think we're getting him on the show soon, too.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, and if by some miracle you have not heard of Podcast The Ride, if you love this show, you're going to love that show. Go check it out. You have a massive library to look at.
It is massive, yes. On Patreon and regular main feed.
So check that out. But yeah, thanks for joining us for this episode, spending your time with us, and enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you on the next ride. Bye-bye.